Oh, what a bad idea. We're live now.
We're live again.
And I got to figure out, I'm waiting for the audio to kick in so I can see how bad the wash machine is this morning. So how you doing, Scott? I think Scott is the sole person here, which means we're alone. We can do anything we want.
We can do things.
Good. Oh my God, that did take a delay. Wow. That's weird.
That's not good.
Anyway, okay. So, atheist. So what do we got here? Alanine?
Threonine, histidine, glutamic acid, isoleucine, serine, and threonine.
Yep. I don't know if enough people would get it that it would be, but I don't know.
Popular
people
enough.
Huh?
I don't know if it'd be like recognizable enough. I mean, you could put like atheist.
Well, if you put the letters there, the representative letters, that might help. Or put the 3-letter codes and make the first one bold so it's sort of obscured or whatever. But yeah, maybe. Hey, Molecular Alchemy.
Hey, what's going on?
Did I send you an invite?
Did you?
Did I? I don't know. I thought I sent everybody an invite. But let's see. So Ian Chen woke me up at 4:30 this morning. Or 4, actually. 4:30. And Standing for Truth, Raw Matt did another double down last night on, what was it? Junk DNA and mutations, substitution rates, and pedigrees. And then he brought up his paper again, which has been submitted to PLOS Biology, and then he went on to talk about PLOS Biology. So he's still holding on.
It's going to get rejected.
I think I talked to them, and I think they kind of suggested that it was like that most of those things go directly to the garbage can.
Yep.
Especially if they appear to have no formatting and no standard form. They just toss them in the garbage because, they get a lot of stuff from third graders and, and they think it's cute, but they're certainly not going to spend any time on it. So,
well, yeah, most journals actually provide submission guidelines for what type of research they are interested in accepting and stuff like that, and standards and regulations regarding what the paper should include, its font, its styling.
Yeah,
which I guarantee you, Raw Matt has done none of.
And his math was wrong, and he initially misrepresented the paper and lied about having it published and all of that stuff. So there's all of that. But I mean, I'm surprised that he feels that it's been long enough now that he can crawl out from under that rock that probably fell on him while he was carrying it around and talk about that goddamn paper again after the embarrassment that he should have felt.
Yeah, he should have felt a little shame. I mean, he should have felt something there.
A whole bunch of shame. So then the interesting part about it, the reason that Ian sent it to me is the chat where they were talking about how Erica and Dr. Dan take months and months to do comeback videos.
Mm-hmm.
And what did he say? Oh God, Ron Matt said something at the end here that was kind of telling. Let's see if I actually wanted to watch it on TV. Well, lol. Let's see. Okay, where the fuck? I don't know. Hang on a second here. What did Ron Matt say?
Where is Many?
I don't know where Many is. I just hope it's not the same responses we have already destroyed. And they're talking about how they come back with the same responses, and it's like, well, you're putting out the same garbage over and over again.
Yep. So
we just keep telling you you're going to get the same responses, maybe a slightly different flavor. And let's see for their audio. Oh, Raw Matt says, yeah, like you said, SFT, they basically just say anything for their audience because they know the typical follower will never investigate any further. Now, isn't that ironic?
That sounds like projection.
Right. And in this video, Ramat put up, I think, 10 to 15 sources without linking any of them. They were pictures and little blurbs, sometimes without even a title or an author or a source. So you had to go look them up.
Ramat, Gish Galloping, never.
He had something on junk DNA when I looked it up with the URL that he had displayed on the screen. The URL was not, it wasn't that content anymore at all. It was totally different. And it was some weird ass site that had something about fractal cancer or something. Have you heard of fractal cancer? Molecular alchemy? Have you heard of fractal cancer? Look like a pseudoscience site. Anyway, so let me share our screen. Let me try to be ready, even though I am not. Whoops, wrong thing. Oh, here we go. What in the hell was that, Google? Jesus. What are they trying to do to me here? Okay. So you see it?
Yep.
Okay. So this, I thought we'd go right to point number 3.
Oh, Jesus. I remember this point. Oh, my.
Yeah, it's a wonderful one. So, and then we'll go back to point 1 and 2. I just thought this one was juicy fun. So.
Oh, it's so precious.
It is precious.
Final point for the positive argument for theism. Point number 3, naturalism actually offers nothing of social value. Methodological naturalism tends to go hand in hand with atheism, the denial of the existence of a deity, or the denial of the existence of sufficient evidence to believe in a deity. We are told constantly that this is the superior perspective to take, but they hide saying what they are actually demanding you to believe as the inescapable part of their worldview. They tell us this is a better way to look at reality and a better way to live, and generally don't admit the implications that comes with it. While they are trying to play the part of passive activists for elevated intellectual perspectives and generally going out of their way to hide the fine print, what is the actual benefit of adopting an atheistic or naturalistic worldview? Can you find your morals from culture as we have known how morally monstrous cultures can be? Should we forsake the tried and tested moral frameworks of the Christian ethical structure?
Poor scam.
Oh, yep. Boy.
Okay, so first of all, we take note of the tone. The superior, that we're superior to him, and he's been made fun of, apparently. Again, somebody touched him on the doll in that part that's shaming part for him. And he feels like we're acting all morally superior. So he must have really gotten blasted by somebody somewhere, because he keeps bringing this up.
Well, remember that he said objective morality is temporal. How the fuck that makes sense, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what that means. That sounds like cultural relativism to me. But well, it's not.
There's just that one exception that they made for the people that lived in basically the old is what are the Israelites? They had a tough life. I mean, their sheep, they had few sheep, and they had a tough life. So they have slaves, and they had to kill children, and they had to do a lot of bad things,
But the other thing is that I don't think naturalism, like its goal is to be used like as a type of, grandiose, assessment of like moral values and moral virtues.
Right.
That's not what it's for. Like there's meta-ethical theories and, philosophical attempts to do that.
Yeah, it would be an entirely different philosophical conversation where you derive your morals.
And I don't know where he gets this thing of like, oh, only atheists are naturalists. No. There's a lot of theists like that adhere to naturalistic principles.
Yep.
Like almost all of them do. Like almost all theists, like accept that there is a natural world and that like methodological naturalism is an appropriate way of studying like that aspect of the world that they think exists.
Let's see.
So, and I don't know what atheists are trying to hide either. I guess he'll explain it to us.
Okay. Let's see. Where are we? Okay. Morally monstrous cultures. So he's mentioning the, morally monstrous cultures like the Old Testament biblical culture. Morally monstrous. He's got a, And who derives their morals from cultures 2,000 years ago? I certainly don't.
I don't.
I don't go and look that shit up. I don't know. But I think maybe some people do.
Apparently he does.
Yeah. So that doesn't make any sense. I mean, the biblical culture, the Old Testament is a culture. And it's a monstrous culture, as we know. They don't think so, but we know it is. And they derive their morals from that culture and are complaining that we might derive our morals from some other culture, from like our current culture.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't think that makes sense.
To adopt foundationless moral standards? Should we adopt a perspective of pure nihilism with any lack of transcendent meaning to look at ourselves as nothing more than slightly advanced animals or random bags of bubbling chemicals, no more capable of actual morals than a random space rock?
Okay, here's where they're really idiots. I mean,
So I'm genuinely confused. What about like naturalism? Like both like metaphysical naturalism and or like philosophical or methodological naturalism necessarily implies nihilism being true. I don't get where he's going with that. And if you're going down this idea of like life has no objective meaning, therefore like fuck everybody and we should all be able to do whatever we want to do. That's a very naive like perspective on how morality functions or like what or this kind of like view of, I believe it's called Draxology, which is like a theory of values and as it pertains like to worldview formation.
So he says we're random bags of bubbling chemicals. Okay, have you ever held a random bag of bubbling chemicals? I'm not sure if I have or not, but
I'm not sure where I can buy one of those things.
Oh, you can actually make one. I think, well, hell, you can make one with vinegar and baking soda, but you might want to put some other shit in there too. You can make one. But so we're slightly advanced animals. So if we're animals have behavior. And in human animals, that behavior is morality. It's one of our behaviors. You can't deny that. We do it all the time. There isn't a culture anywhere other than the unique individual that was raised by wolves, and I think even they have some semblance of morality. So random bags of chemicals doesn't quite apply here. That is is that classic straw man bullshit? Yeah, that's classic straw man bullshit. Reducing everything to random chemicals, and boy, they love that word random. I'm not even sure I know what random means anymore after looking into pi. I'm not even sure if it means anything. Anyway, how ridiculous. Because pi is a random thing that you can arrive at algorithmically. That's why pi is weird. Yet it's a random sequence of, digits if you work it out. Okay. I wish I were awake. Would that help?
I don't know. Would it help?
I don't know. Probably not. Probably just distract us. Okay. Where were we? Oh, random space rock. What the fuck is that? A random space rock. I haven't seen many of those either. I heard they do occur.
Methodological naturalism demands much, and I think it demands too much. And I think it makes extraordinary claims and has failed to provide any semblance of extraordinary evidence to back up those claims. I ultimately many times see atheists as a bunch of people swimming in a sewer, pleading with me to join them, saying that, quote unquote, the water is just fine. But I don't want to swim in sewage, and none of them have been able to give me a good reason to do so ever again. And with that, I yield. Can I have my time?
Okay, that was it for point number 3. So here we are swimming in sewage, trash, garbage.
Yeah, he also claimed that atheism apparently makes spectacular claims.
Spectacular claims. So I think there again, somebody, he's been hanging around with some atheists that have abused
Better
him.
explanation than, explanations that only get better over time.
But don't you think that this all of its points have been nothing but this constant sewer trash and like being abused by atheists? Like maybe he was beat up in a stuffed in a garbage can. I don't know.
And he can't get away from these insults to save his freaking life.
I know. So he didn't really say much here. He just said that it is his, his assertion that we have no basis for moral values. Yet every single one of us knows what right and wrong is. Every fucking person you're going to run into. You go to Walmart, the atheists you think are there.
So his argument against naturalism for the third point is naturalism has some issues that, are hard to solve and that aren't very easy to solve. Therefore, theism is true. Wow.
Or basically that naturalism doesn't actually prescribe morality, that morality is a separate issue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Methodological natural. Yeah, he's yeah. We are, I don't know if you listened to us yesterday, Molecular Alchemy, but he was talking about metaphysical naturalism all throughout this thing, and he kept calling it methodological naturalism because he's very confused about the two. So where does he do the thing about, there's one other, before we get to points 1 and 2, okay, let's see here, bigger stopgaps, abiogenesis. Oh, so somewhere later on he says, or any of those, let's see, it is anything naturalistic, and to draw a more specific parallel to what I'm talking about, I mean, they have to jerry-rig the environment. He's talking about abiogenesis.
Let's jump to that point in the video.
Let's see, 4251. Okay, 41. Let's just go ahead and play that.
Now, kind of interject at this point, because this is maybe a good thing to unpack mildly here. The claim of the abiogenesis work, and that is actually kind of probably more of those bigger stopgaps in my claim, as you had put forward earlier, God of the gaps, where I had put in my presentation naturalism of the gaps. And to draw the point to that is that there is what I think is happening with the ongoing research, as you so poignantly put it, which, by the way, I agree with and support as much as many people might think me as a creationist wouldn't. It's actually quite the contrary. I just think the evidence we're discovering is pointing more towards intelligent design inferences than it is anything naturalistic. Yeah. And to draw a more specific parallel to what I'm talking about, I mean, they have to jerry-rig the environment to manifest these organic compounds, and they have to do so in such a way of no discernible justification for any of that type of environment or any of those types of materials to have been available on early Earth. Even the radioactively treated clay in the famous Miller-Urey experiment,
Okay. So, like from the abio research that I've read, I mean, they're using very simple compounds. Like they're using like cyanide, like methane, ammonia. Like they're using very basic compounds, which all would have been present on the early Earth. I mean, I don't get where he has this claim of like that, like there's Like, they're just not present. They are. Like, we know that from like several different collections of studies. But this other claim of like, there's no reason to use that environment. Well, there's multiple environments on the Earth, and why not test them each and see what they produce?
This goes back to Anthony Maurice and James Tour, and particularly Anthony Maurice. But the way he puts it, and they have to do so in such a way of no discernible justification for any of that type of environment. That is
a reflection that he hasn't read the actual literature.
Well, he can't talk either. That's the other reflection here. This is them speaking in tongues, but let's not miss the important part. Let's see, where's the important part?
That type of clay on environment or any of those types of materials to have been available on early Earth.
Okay. This is the important part.
Even the radioactively treated clay in the famous Miller-Urey experiment, even the radioactively treated clay in the famous Miller-Urey.
What fucking radioactively treated clay?
The Miller experiment or the Miller-Urey experiment doesn't involve clay.
Did not
What you're referring to is the experiments done with montrillimite clay, like that's used to demonstrate RNA replication. And I don't know if you think irradiation is like magical, because the sun emits like different types of radiation. So, like there's ionizing radiation, like there's gamma radiation, there's all sorts of types of radiation that occur. And I'm not sure like where you're getting this idea that it just wouldn't be present on the early Earth.
Anyway, molecular alchemy caught it, but I caught it. I almost swallowed my tongue. But it's not that we're making fun of him for being ignorant of this particular kind of information. The problem is that he clearly doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and yet he's got this vicious, powerful opinion that he knows there is no foundation for any of this stuff.
He was referring to something that never happened in the experiment. He's conflating like two methods that pertain to different experiments.
Right, and he got that out of what the people have told him. So, I mean, the point is that Smokey Saint doesn't know anything about this topic, and she just keep his goddamn mouth shut about it, because he doesn't know what he's talking about. Yet he has these strong opinions. Because somebody told him, Anthony Maurice, isn't he the one that was bitching about appeal to authority?
Yeah, Anthony Maurice has been bitching about abiogenesis for a long ass time.
But his authority is Anthony Maurice.
Yeah.
And then Anthony brought in James Tour and kind of, built the talking points with that. But, I mean, Anthony Maurice is no fucking authority. If you read anything that Anthony, I've got to put a compilation of his quotes, but all he says this thing over and over and over again. And then he says, abiogenesis isn't true. Abiogenesis isn't true over and over again. So, I mean,
they manipulate the environments. They do this, they do that. It's like, it's basic research design. What part of this is like complicated to you?
Right. These guys are amazing. I don't know. But anyway, so I wanted to point that out. And now we're back to the point.
Apparently it's formation of ribonucleic acids, not replication of RNA. Okay.
What is?
The montrillimite clay.
Oh, yeah.
Montrillimite clay experiments.
Yep. Yeah, and Miller-Urey was to show that, sets of peptides can be formed. Didn't they form like 500 of them?
The Miller-Urey experiments were to show that a set of basic inorganic, so to speak, compounds could be reacted to form basic amino acids.
But I heard somewhere that
complex molecules.
They ended up with like 500 amino acids.
Yeah, they ended up with a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, which is very encouraging as far as I'm concerned. So.
And for as basic as an experiment as it was, it's quite interesting and quite successful.
If it was such a failure, I wonder why creationists bring it up every 25 minutes.
Because they think that that's where the current research of abiogenesis is.
Yeah. Oh, and it's the one they put in the high school textbooks. Minor distinction. Summarize Smokey. Abiogenesis is not possible. Now let me tell you how biological structures came from non-biotic source. Miliary was amino acids. Clay was RNA pollen. Okay. So, usual bullshit. Where are we? Positive points 2436. So we're going back to 1 to the positive points. Where are we here? The adjustable. Okay. I've got to move forward a little bit.
Primary points for a positive case for theism, starting with point number 1. Any naturalistic mechanism can easily and justifiably be accounted for in theism. The point a methodological naturalist will make to defend their case is generally to point at the naturalistic processes inside the observations of evolutionary theory. They look at the sublime methods for speciation and for species to adapt to their environments and give credit to the processes themselves. We also expect to see these processes in our hypothetical theistic model. So your so-called evidence for naturalism actually backs up our case as well.
So what he's talking about is how in the last 10 years or 20 years, the theists decided to commandeer the terminology and some of the stuff from science. Like, I think 20 years ago, they didn't believe in any kind of speciation at all.
No, I mean, like back in the days of like Charles Lyell's, I mean, like the 1700s and 1800s.
I'm talking 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, people thought that, like, essentially God created like different species, like that things belonged in their own, you know, different groups, what creationists will now call kinds. If you read the book of Genesis, like specifically the creation event, it seems very clearly to be pointing to like this idea of special creation, like that God created different types of animals and, you know, that they're distinct from each other in some kind of way. It doesn't seem to be particularly like describing an evolutionary process. But the other thing, again, is like his first point kind of boils back down to Occam's razor, in that, okay, you can assume, like you can say that a supernatural thing, you know, supernatural God was involved in the like in the formation of life in the universe and whatever else. But the issue is we now have two explanations which are almost identical, and one includes a God and one doesn't. And so the one that includes a God is much more complex and hasn't met justification as towards why we need it. Right? It just seems to be there for the sake of being there and making things more complex than they need to be.
Okay, starting with point number 1, any naturalistic mechanism can easily and justifiably be accounted for in theism. Anything that happens to you, if I get cancer, I can say God did it. If my car gets a flat tire, I can say God did it. So he's admitting to it. He's admitting that all they do is copy what's really happening and say God did it.
All they say is what we said in the first video on this one. Oh, well, God wanted it that way. Oh, well, isn't that convenient? I mean, isn't that just, you know, dandy that God happened to chose things to be that way to align itself like with the natural order of things?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it's, but he admits it. You have to look at the meta point here. What the creationists have done, they've hired car salesmen basically to speak for them, sham wall salesmen and pitchmen, and they're doing nothing but pounding us with our own terminology. They go out and they learn the buzzwords and they spit it back, and then you've got all these hangers-on, Doki Bible Club and all the bullshit people that flock over on Standing for Truth's channel every time he puts out a bullshit video.
I don't know too much about Doki Bible Club.
I don't think Doki Bible Club is I think it's a bot.
Maybe. I mean, he seems to engage fairly humanly.
Well, does he?
I don't know.
Have to see. But yeah, I don't know what's up with Doki. But you know, Doki, yeah. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Doki. It's like, what the hell? Listening to him this morning, it was pretty bad. But anyway, so Smokey admits that you can use last Thursdayism to account for any possible, to substitute any other metaphysic. I mean, because metaphysics is like that. You can make up any bullshit story you want to account for what's happening. And that's all they've done. And he admits it right here. And he thinks it's somehow a positive point for theism, that I can make something up.
If I just repeat what the naturalists say, and I don't explain how it was predicted in the Bible, I win, apparently.
Yeah. So if we had a Hollywood series where we went through the creation of the universe and the creation of mankind and the earth and the waters and the birds, every week when we wrote a new episode, basically because we could write a new episode that made sense of, what's happening in reality, therefore our series would be I'm making a positive case for believing in our series as believing what the reality of the universe is.
Yep.
And
all right, let's see what his next point is. We only got more to go.
I think we'd have Mel Brooks produce that.
Oh Lord,
I can't talk this morning, but Mel Brooks should produce a series on our biblical creation of the universe. Okay. Welcome to the club. Yeah. Okay.
Where did this capacity for evolution and adaptation come from? If a narrow-minded, non-forward-thinking type of intelligent life, or potentially even randomness, had created us, how did it know to program methods of adaptation into the programming of our DNA?
Okay. So again, Smokey, as much as he claims to understand evolutionary theory, does not.
Nope.
Evolution does not say anything about any kind of teleological structure regarding organisms. Organisms, the course of natural selection doesn't have any intention to make things better or worse. What accounts for variability is the fact that chemical structures are variable in their structure. A protein can change over time, in its conformation and the types of activity it has, and yada, 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 yada. And the thing is, if you substitute an amino acid somewhere, maybe that assists the protein, or maybe it doesn't do anything at all. There's ways in which you can regulate these chemical entities that over time become either detrimental or beneficial based upon the environment. And those types of things, based upon what organisms utilizing them in what environment, either those adaptations are going to be passed on or they're not going to be passed on. So again, this isn't really complicated. It doesn't have any kind of directionality to it.
No direction. The funny thing about this point is that it's actually the main point for why God cannot serve as an explanation for anything. Something consistent with everything lacks explanatory power. Yep. Looking back to his underdetermination, this is the same thing. Basically, could have been anything. Could have been any kind of anything that created it. Just has no explanatory power at all. And molecular, oh my God, Smokey Saint's here. Can we let him in?
Sure.
You're in.
So why are you rat roach retards talking about me?
No.
Oh no. Oh my.
I think we got an imposter in here. I'm not sure.
No, I'm the real Smokey, the real Smokey. There's no other Smokies.
You've been doing a lot of helium lately to keep that high laughing hyena voice then, I guess.
Okay, maybe you can tell me, maybe you're willing to come clean about this. Are you attracted to toads out there in the desert?
Well, kind of, because the really big toads, my arms are so skinny I can fist fuck them really good.
Do they remind you of sheep?
No, sheep are a whole different thing. Sheep are on Tuesdays.
They're more biblical.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. You guys continue on.
Okay.
But Yeah, I mean, I come online. This will convince you that I am who I say I am.
Okay. Oh yeah, it's a real Smokey. I knew it. Got it. Well, welcome to my channel. I've been dying to get you here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is you're listening to mine. Chances are it's something crazy I said, but
yeah,
what the fuck, dude?
Well,
once you got anything better to do than to go after, real moral Christians.
Oh shit. Yeah, this is a piece of work. Did you had you listened to this before by any chance?
No, I was on my way out to grab lunch and I saw you were going live and I said I'm gonna pop in there when I get back.
We did one yesterday on his 3 points against naturalism, and the only reason I'm doing this because I really don't care about Smokey. It's you and Knox's job to handle him or to watch him.
Right.
The only reason I'm doing this is the only time he's actually shown his prowess in air quotes for philosophy, and it is pretty bad. I mean, it's just horribly bad.
I mean, dude doesn't even know what a no true Scotsman fallacy is. Him and CJ no, it's not the no true Scotsman fallacy to say that Catholics aren't Christians. What are you talking about?
Right.
Go to day one.
He doesn't understand. He doesn't understand appeal to authority. A fallacy. He doesn't understand a straw man because he has misused it. It's and he certainly doesn't understand anything about philosophy based on what I've seen in this particular debate.
Well, and
this is a bunch of rambling bullshit.
I mean, and not to talk about, somebody else, somebody that I truly like, but that's why me and Knock were, so taken aback by, Richard Madsen had Smokey on the other night, night before last, and he introduced him as a guy with a really great brain, somebody that you could go to if you want to know about philosophy and,
oh my God,
and epistemic warrant. And I'm just on the other side, going, what did you just say about Smokey?
Well, I can tell you, he doesn't know shit about ethics. Epistemic warrant, he knows nothing about that. That was his case against naturalism. And
you know that Sunflower dude, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so he was in the room last night, and he was saying, talking to Dr. Josh, and he was saying how do you know? If there's lots of things out there that part of it's true, part of it isn't true. Embellishment. And do you just throw the whole ancient document out because there's embellishment in some parts of it, or inference to supernatural things, and and he made an argument like that, and Dr. Josh was saying, well, yeah, and he mentioned some documents that I wasn't familiar with, and saying how, this part of it is actually true, but then you can see where they're embellishing and talking about this individual as if they're supernatural, and I came up with the example that, well, yeah, it's just like Kim Jong-un, in North Korea, they say supernatural things about him, he shot 18 holes in a score of 18, and
yep,
and he can't die, or whatever the fuck they say about him. Well, so anyway, after they went back and forth, I asked Sunflower. I said, well, if you recognize that some parts of the Bible are true and other parts aren't, and the way you're discerning it is by why, what it sounds like, whether it sounds right, whether it, fits in with what you think's possible. How is it that when it never happened beforehand and it's never happened since, why do you believe that the resurrection happened? Now, or is true, is something that actually happened. And now, if I asked any Christian that question, they would jump at the chance to tell you why they believe Jesus Christ is risen. Yep. And Sunflower said, yeah, that's kind of personal. I don't want to get into that. You know, and in my head, I'm like seeing Donald Trump. Hey, Donald, could you tell us what some of your favorite Bible verses are? Yeah, I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, it's personal.
You know, like, and then actually, I kind of went at him for a little bit. I'm like, well, wait a minute. What do you mean it's personal? Like, and then he kept saying, well, he kept referring to the idea that I wouldn't be able to explain it to you because, you know, it is on faith and all. I said, look, I'm not asking you to prove it to me. I'm asking you to tell me what your rationale is for believing it. You know, and people seem to forget that you can have a belief that you can't necessarily prove, but you still have to have a rationale for it. You still have like a burden of proof, and maybe not so much a burden of proof, but like a burden of rationale. A, B, C. This is why I believe this. And he couldn't.
Typically, it's called a burden of justification. Like that's the thing we typically refer to it as. Like some of us do.
Yeah. I've heard that. Yeah.
That's what his first 3 points were about, is that naturalists do not have justification for saying nothing supernatural could ever have happened.
Well, and he doesn't think naturalism can be justified at all, and he tried to attack that by means of trying to endorse presuppositional apologetics, which was
that's where hilarious. He goes. That's where he goes next, but he starts with saying that naturalism can't claim that it's not possible for anything supernatural to have happened, and I would agree with that. I don't know how we could claim, you know, or how we could prove that nothing supernatural could ever happen.
You can't. I mean, it's always a possibility, but it's always a possibility that Puff the Magic Dragon did it also.
Well, right. And you can't prove that it didn't happen in the past either. You can't prove that it doesn't happen in some far corner of the universe. And the reason is because it's unfalsifiable. Okay. It's like the idea when they say, well, prove there's no God. Like, how would I ever do that? Like, the burden of proof has to be on you because your God could reveal himself right now and settle this forever. But for me to prove there is no God, not only would I have to be able to examine the entire universe, I would have to examine everything outside the universe because you claim that God is you know, not part of the universe. You know, is from outside the universe, is his own separate fucking realm. You know, so there's no way I can ever prove there is no God. Now I can make an argument and you know, make a very probabilistic argument of certain gods not existing, but to prove that there is no God, it's unfalsifiable. It's impossible.
So if we can't, so he claims that if us naturalists cannot prove that it can't happen, that we are forbidden to abductively reason that naturalism is all there is just because that's all we see. I mean, all we ever see is naturalism.
And he's using the wrong word, though. We can inductively make that claim because we haven't seen anything supernatural.
Yeah.
And everything has been a naturalistic fucking explanation. I mean, you know, like, was it Smokey or was it... oh no, it was Gavin Herleman when Knock debated him. When he was given his opening, or maybe it was the rebuttal period, he made the claim, I can prove God exists and that the resurrection happened through an inductive argument. And I was like, what?
Okay.
Wait, you can through induction? Like I'm in the chat, like going in my head, I'm going, well, wait, what? You can prove it you can make an argument through induction because of all the other people we've seen rise from the dead in the course of human history. Like you can prove God exists because of all the gods we've seen through the course of. I just was shaking my head. I'm like, no, you can't make an argument through induction, dude.
Wow. Yeah, what does a justified theistic explanation look like? I don't know. Bible said it happened. That's all they have. I mean, all they have is the book.
Yeah.
When you look at Standing for Truth and Ramat, when they start talking, and that guy that was on yesterday with the salt domes, they had some dude on him with salt
Misha
domes.
Popoff?
Is that his name?
White hair with a white beard?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, the salt dome guy. He's from Ireland, Northern Ireland, or something. Or
no, that's not Misha Papa.
Well, no, maybe he's from somewhere else. Hiroshima or something, or I don't know what the hell his name
Might
is.
be a different guy.
Well, he's the big salt dome guy. He's got a theory of salt domes that basically they melted or something, and they were like extruded molten salt. And I'm pretty sure you could tell the difference between molten salt being extruded and any other way. Basically crystallized salt, that crystallized out of water. There's a difference in the structure. I'm pretty sure molten salt would crystallize differently. But anyway, he had a whole theory. But where was I going with that? Oh, shit, I forgot. Lost my train of thought.
Yeah, that happens to us old guys.
Yeah, it happens a lot to the young guys, too, I noticed.
Well, it just depends on how much dope they do.
Well,
There we go.
They don't just lose their train of thought. Their train gets like derailed and crashes into another train.
That's like, I'm not going to say it. Never mind.
Okay.
Okay.
We won't pick on them.
Did you move that comment, man? Nobody can see my beautiful avatar.
I know.
Oh shit. Where's hang on a second here. Well, I can move you up on top because I don't like to be on top.
Oh, you don't.
I like to be on the bottom.
So you're a power bottom?
Yeah. Power bottom.
Power bottom. Yep.
Cool.
Anyway, so what else we got going here? Interesting.
I told P. Mars last night that I would hate fuck him.
Wow. All right.
So I'm going to mute and eat some of my lunch here, and I'll be back when you pause it again to say more irrational shit.
Okay, we'll do some more irrational shit here. Let's see. Where are we in the irrationality?
Point number 2.
Okay. Wait a minute. What? No, I think
and
we're still on
design
point
of our
1.
biological makeup. This gives us actual evidence not only of a supreme intelligence, but a non-temporal future knowing type of intelligence that knew that life needed to be able to adapt in order to survive. If everything had been programmed hyper-specifically, as atheists tend to challenge us, then one tiny failure in the ecosystem would cause a whole systemic collapse and the end of all life. Therefore, the challenge against God along those lines of creating a...
That's actually kind of happened a couple times.
Happened like 7 to 9 different freaking times in the course of Earth. Like the first time organisms figured out how to use oxygen, like 99.99% of all life went extinct.
Yep.
Like the Great Oxygenation Event. So God was intelligent enough that when the first life formed, however it formed, that 99% of the other life would have gone extinct because of this perfectly adaptable genetic code? What?
Well, and then you got to remember that, so supposedly he didn't just create this planet for us, he created the entirety of the universe. And 99.9999999, I could say the 0.9's like a million times now, is like lethal to us.
Yeah. And a lot of the universe is like empty freaking space because the universe is expanding exponentially. And the galaxies like that we are aware of probably don't have that many like habitable planets. According to the Drake equation, like within our galaxy alone, which is like 100,000 light years in diameter, contains like trillions of solar systems, there's only about 30 or so. There's only predicted to be about 30 or so like habitable planets like with life that's similar to our own. That's well designed? Since when?
Okay, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
hyper specifically, where the hell are we? Perfect system, or if there was a God, he would have created a perfect system, disregards his intention of the perfection of the design. All the
okay, wait a minute. Let's see. First of all, he's saying that it was programmed perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's saying, or if there was a God, he would have created a perfect system, disregards his intention of the perfection of design.
Naturalistic processes.
Yeah, the perfection of design. What's that one nerve or that one artery that like goes like down all the way down your body and then back up to like travel like 6 inches?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
And then your breathing hole and your fucking eating hole are connected. For Christ's sake.
Yep.
Yeah. what great design that is.
And the giraffe, the nerve that runs all the way up the neck and back again, and it's just like because it kind of gets hooked in development. Yeah. But I mean, he would have created a perfect system, disregards his intention of the perfection of design. So he's trying to say something else here, I think, and I'm not sure what the hell it is.
Did you ever see, what the hell is it? Conehead. Conehead's the movie?
Yeah.
Okay. They didn't have ass cracks because they didn't have to shit. So why do I have to go sit? If I'm a perfectly designed, why do I got to go sit down and shit once a day and wipe my fucking ass, man?
Right.
You'd be like the Coneheads where the body reuses all the fucking methane and everything.
Yes. That is a real design error. Okay.
Your case are necessary evidence of the brilliance of our designer. We can account for the origin of such complex and specific information, yet you cannot. And still you insist we adopt the stance of waiting for us to find a naturalistic answer before we are allowed to deduce the inescapable. And this brings me to my next point. Can I get a time check there, Neff?
Sure.
Okay, first of all, you do not have an account for the information. That is a dishonest statement. What you have an account for is the origin or the source, right? What you have an account for under your model is this idea that this God created things. But nobody understands where the information like is getting assembled in, or how the information assimilates from simple to complex in order to form simple life. Nobody understands that. That's what abiogenesis tries to explain.
And what he's doing here, I mean, this could be a primer in a philosophy class for God of the Gaps.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's inserting God where we don't have knowledge, and he's claiming that it's correct, which, ironically, God has never been a correct answer for anything. But
so, I mean, he's complaining that we don't have an answer for every single step of the mechanism. 4.5 billion years of evolution. We don't have all the answers. Can you imagine what all the answers would look like? And then he says that we are claiming that this is something we're going to find out in the future, but we can't do that. What we have to do right now is deduce the inescapable point, the inescapable that God did it. And that is their explanation. Yet God did it is just one goddamn tiny little statement, 3 words that lines up with what we have to provide for our evidence. We have to give them a stack of papers that would reach to the moon and back maybe 18 times or more. So, I mean, this is just ridiculous. And they keep hashing that. They keep spitting that at us, that we have to know everything. Like they'll like that Top Dog Shattuck link that episode of what the hell, some series, was it Family Guy, where they're talking about the missing links, and then, well, no, we found the missing link here. Oh, but what about the missing link between A and B, and or A and C, and we found B, and then what about the missing link between A and B, and they go on and on and on, and that's what they're doing to us. That we have to have the entire explanation, or they're not going to buy it.
About the Family Guy one where they said the universe by Carl Sagan for Christians, and then like he starts talking and he gets this really technical explanation, and they edit it, and so Carl's like, well, the reason that the universe is God, he just says God like for like 10 seconds straight.
Yeah. Futurama. Oh, that was the one. Okay, so let's see. We're moving on to point number 2, I guess. I'm really not awake this morning. Apologize.
For 12 minutes, 41 seconds.
Oh, my word. I went way too far. I apologize for this. I need to get better at this.
He did go way too far since he started his channel.
So it's important to note here that he's feeling stressed that he should end this, and this is like 12 minutes in.
He's not
Keep
going
in
to.
mind that his opening in total is 17 minutes long.
Yeah.
So even though he knows he needs to wrap up, he somehow spends 5 more minutes on these 2 points.
Yep. Point number 2.
I'll try to wrap it up quicker. And the point number 2, and allow this to be part of my rebuttal because it kind of works into some of the stuff you said anyway. So just let this eat into my rebuttal, and we'll give you ample opportunity to rebut as long as you like. The positive case for theism, point number 2, complexity versus specificity, and we are improbably here. The complexity argument has been debated many times, but is essential to throw it in for the sake of time. I am going to attempt to make it succinct. I am not attempting to argue any point of theism from simply a statement of the manifestation of complexity. As many atheists would contend, a crystalline structure or a snowflake is incredibly complex and naturally manifested in nature. This is one of the most grotesque of false dichotomies an atheist challenges to us. If one tiny crystalline structure was to be misplaced or be missing, the entire structure won't necessarily fail. In the instance of the function of cells, this is the complete opposite of the case.
No,
Okay. No, it isn't at all.
Has Smokey never heard of like penicillin before? The reason like we're in this crisis of like drug discovery and like trying to develop new drugs is because like there's certain proteins that are responsible for cell wall assembly in bacteria, and penicillin inhibits that synthesis, so the cell will die. But some cells have mutations that enable them to survive and renders that drug useless by dropping it down several orders of magnitude in its effectiveness. But the issue is cells can adapt to like mutation, right? If you randomly change an amino acid in a protein, as long as it doesn't belong to the catalytic domain of the protein, chances are you won't do much to it. Chances are you might adjust it by like 1 or 2, by like half a unit or whatever. And it's not that significant. So biological systems can endure, mutation. That's why, like with genomic data, we're able to determine, things like single nucleotide variants and single nucleotide polymorphisms that are very common in human populations. Yet we see the majority of people like with single nucleotide variants in particular genes functioning just fine. So no, this claim is bullshit.
Well, and just to comment on your first question when you started talking, Smokey is unfamiliar with penicillin because he's never had sex before, so he never needed any.
There we go.
Okay, so snowflakes, for one thing, are not that complex. They have there's an emergent complexity, but there are some pretty simple rules that create them, and so probably not that complex. And cells are very much like snowflakes in that a whole hell of a lot can go wrong with a cell before the cell stops doing its function. There's a spurious transcription. There's just all sorts of screw ups and mutations, and physical distortion of a cell doesn't kill it because it can withstand a great deal of. I mean, it's all statistical whether or not a cell works, and so he doesn't really have a case here. They have this idea of the perfection of nature, that some perfect programmed, forward-looking system in the cells is prescribing everything. And life could not live that way. It couldn't adapt to anything. It couldn't handle any variation in the environment, or it would all just fail, unless it could. Of course, it could have little mechanisms that counteract everything that could happen. But that's not what happens at all. It's entirely statistical. So no point here. But I think here's the part I highlighted.
One single minor component or piece of instructional code is missing and the entire system fails.
No, it does not fail. Oh, my goodness.
which is why my positive argument for theism is not based solely on complexity, but on the specificity of the complexity. As an anecdote to bring this full circle, a box of bike parts is complex. One could argue it has a comparable level of complexity to crystalline structure and likely was similarly randomly thrown together, agency aside, for the sake of the argument. One would not draw attention to the manifest intelligent agency at the haphazard collection of bike parts in a box, but they would with a fully functional bicycle.
Yet a cell is very much like a haphazard collection of bike parts in a box.
Yep.
More so than it is like a fully functional bicycle.
No. Irreducible complexity, dude.
Right. Like a bicycle and a factory. I mean, if you imagine like a Ford factory where there was like this big, huge, bloated bubble with liquid in it, and it had a bunch of shit floating around in it, and eventually it shat out a car, that would be more like life. I mean, you would not design a factory like a cell because it just wouldn't. It just wouldn't work.
Well, it's like if a car was like constantly adjusting the size of its motor, and was like replacing batteries, replacing its batteries while it was driving, and sometimes, yeah. And today it's going to use today it's going to use a 220 volt battery, but now it's going to use, but at night it's going to use 180 volts. It's an insane mess.
Yeah.
Like it's by no means like as specified and like specifically complex as you think it is.
And what if I went outside and my Cadillac had gotten pregnant and it had offspring? What the hell would I do then?
What if your car like divided it in half and then started like to reassemble the other half of itself?
Right when I wanted to go to the store. And then half of it didn't have windows, or they were opaque windows.
And while you were driving the car, it was building its own windows, which kind of is how cell division works.
Yep. So nothing like a factory. They love these factory analogies, and they insist on them. Programming, forward thinking, code, everything. They were going on last night about that on some stream, I think on Standing for Truth's channel, about the codes. And I was telling them, yeah, DNA, okay, I'll give you that one. That's a code. The rest of this shit, no, not a code. Histone, not a code.
Well, I don't even like that word code though, because that does kind of imply an intelligence.
Yeah.
And really, what it is though is we gave it a code to explain it to ourselves. That's what it is. I mean, and it's not a code like the code you punch in to turn your fucking alarm off when you get home from work.
Well, yeah. I mean, except for the thing is, like, all a code is it's an assignment between two objects. So, I mean, whenever two objects interact with each other, there's some kind of information that's conveyed between that interaction. And
yeah, there is a positive case you could make for DNA being a code.
And to me, like I've said many times now, I don't care.
Yeah, but it
doesn't DNA is a code, or if it isn't,
because we can tell you the steps, the probable steps that develop that code.
Yeah, there's a rational basis every step of the way as towards why that code developed and why, like, the association between amino acids and like that genetic code formed.
But you can't say that about histone. The histone code, for instance, is what they want to talk about now. Not a code. There's nothing code-like about it. It's just a haphazard 20, 30 different random reactions and crazy-ass shit breaking off that, transcribing off that DNA and getting into the works, and sometimes working and sometimes screwing it up. And when it screws it up, the cell dies. When it works, it sticks around. Natural selection. It's just really easy to understand.
Well, and why would God need to use a code though? Like I can't envision, God, in his study with the big 6-foot grease boards, working all the computations out and everything. Like, for Christ's sakes, he made the first man out of some fucking dirt and the first woman out of a rib. Like, why did there have to be? I mean, we could be filled with cotton candy and still, be sentient, alive and everything, couldn't we? If a God made us.
To the question I asked about biology to, I think it was Sal Cordova a while ago. I asked the question of why is it that so for those that don't know, cells replicate their DNA and they also replicate their components and divide and give rise to daughter cells. But under a creationist model, why does that occur? Like the first life wouldn't have needed that. You wouldn't need to replicate DNA or have error correcting mechanisms and enzymes for DNA because DNA, was supposedly made perfect. You wouldn't need regulatory mechanisms either because the proteins would have just, I guess, known how much to make of each thing. There's certain things that's why do we find certain things in biological systems if these organisms are created perfectly and according to standing all the genetic information that was needed for the organism and all the possible genetic diversity was contained in those gene strands.
Well, we're perfect. Well, then explain Down syndrome, cleft palates. I was born without a digit on one of my hands. Explain all the different birth defects people were born with. But wait a minute, you just said we're perfect. Apparently not.
Well, then they have the fall in genetic entropy and how everything is falling down. But I mean, he's saying that let's see, one thing out of whack can kill us. Yet they talk about mutation and genetic entropy and the fall and all of that, which has billions of things that are going wrong, and we're still here.
Yep.
I don't know. They kind of want it both ways. They want to talk about this perfect design, yet it has this built-in fallibility, and I guess they claim that God did that too. I mean, they just, whatever pops up, God did it, God did it, God did it. I mean, they don't realize how dumb that shit sounds to us. People who do not look at the Bible as our factual source for everything, right?
Well, isn't it lucky for us that even the people that believed in God didn't settle when God did it? Or we'd still be living in caves and using
Yeah.
The people who first started off science, I mean, God bless them too. I mean, they were fascinated by what they viewed as God's creation, and they wanted to seek mechanisms to kind of see how does this thing how does this thing actually work? How does how does this so very intricate system operate? And as a result, it's changed our perception of the not just the world around us, but the universe that we inhabit.
Yep.
It's a good thing I don't pray my garbage out to the curb every Tuesday.
Yeah, you might have rodents.
Yeah, might have rodents.
Or roaches, rat roaches.
Rat roaches.
Rat roach retard.
Okay, we got a little bit left.
Bicycle has specific complexities, far beyond being just the sum of its parts. This now takes me to the improbability component of my argument. This certainly could be a topic of debate all to itself, so I'm not going to spend much time on it. But it is essential to draw at least a surface level attention to it as it carries from this point. We are improbably here. Our universe does not assemble functional
foreskin.
Specificity.
What the hell's foreskin all about?
Oh, that's our safe
word for stop.
Stop the video.
Well, so look. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, the thing is, something improbable means that there is no probability, that there is no statistical way something can occur. That something improbable would be if I rolled a 6-sided dice and I landed with a 7. Right? I mean, that's something improbable. There isn't
really improbable.
There isn't a state for 7 to exist in. There's just no way it can happen. And the thing is, as well, is that for you to claim something about probability or how likely something is, kind of like when I roll a dice, right? When I roll a 6-sided die, I know that when I roll that die, I mean, I can check it too, that there's going to be 6 possible results. And that the chance of landing on, one of those 6 sides is 1 in 6, right? I know how many states are possible for the system to occupy. And I know what the likelihood for each of those states to exist are. Where something like the origin of life, we don't know that yet.
No.
We don't know like all the possible states that can generate life. We don't know like all the mechanistic steps that would, account for like the relative formation, concentration of those reactants. And we're not even sure of, even the most basic chemistry concerning, not just the reactivity of these compounds, but how do these chemicals behave as, Newtonian objects? How do they coalesce into something, that's greater than the sum of their parts? How do they combine in order to create something complex? We don't know the probabilities for all those things.
Yeah, I mean, if you roll a 6-sided die and it came up hamburger, then that would be that would be like out of the realm of whatever word you were using before. He was using.
It's improbable.
Improbable, yeah.
Yeah, there's no probability for that to occur.
So I hate to do this to you or ask this. I'm not asking you if you can do this, because then it would be like more words out of Smokey's mouth. But is there any chance you could back it up like a minute so I could try and remember what the fuck I was going to say?
Sure.
What would a minute be? That would be where are we? 28. So I go about 27.
Yeah, that probably. I mean, it was right before we paused. He had said something that.
Let's see, 27. Let's try. God damn, what is wrong with the Google? Okay, 26:59. We'll try it here.
Point number 2, complexity versus specificity, and we are improbably here. The complexity argument has been debated many times, but is essential to throw it in for the sake of time. I am going to attempt to make it succinct. I am not attempting to argue any point of theism from simply a statement of the manifestation of complexity. As many atheists would contend, a crystalline structure or a snowflake is incredibly complex and naturally manifested in nature. This is one of the most grotesque of false dichotomies an atheist challenges to us. If one tiny crystalline structure was to be misplaced or be missing, the entire structure won't necessarily fail. In the instance of the function of cells, this is the complete opposite of the case. One single minor component or piece of instructional code is missing and the entire system fails, which is why my positive argument for theism is not based solely on complexity, but on the specificity of the complexity. As an anecdote to bring this full circle, a box of bike parts is complex. One could argue it has a comparable level of complexity to crystalline structure and likely was similarly randomly thrown together, agency aside, for the sake of the argument. One would not draw attention to the manifest intelligent agency at the haphazard collection of bike parts in a box, but they would with a fully functional bicycle. The bicycle has specific complexity, far beyond being just the sum of its parts. This now takes me to the improbability component of my argument. This certainly could be a topic of debate all to itself, so I'm not going to spend much time on it. But it is essential to draw at least a surface level attention to it as it carries from this point. We are improbably here. Our universe does not assemble functional complex specificity naturally, and no example has ever been observed to support this case. Our universe always has a tendency to manifest greater disorder, not greater order. Therefore, when we see something in nature that manifests itself contrary to disorder, but takes on clearly complex and specific order with intentional information, there is no justifiable path to attribute any naturalistic mechanism that always tends to move systems towards disorder instead of increased order. The naturalist must actually presume contrary to the nature of the universe to support their stance, and I don't have that much faith.
Foreskin.
Okay.
I mean, that didn't work at all. I'm old.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I caught on something else there. Like, so, okay, order. He keeps talking about order. It would lead to disorder if it wasn't the way I'm saying. Like, that is what you see. I mean, yeah, there's rules that the universe follows, but when you look at it from our perspective as biological beings that need certain things to survive, the universe as a whole is in disorder from our perspective. I mean, like I said earlier, there's some infinitesimal 0.0001 part of the universe that is good for us. and then he talks about bashing naturalistic explanations. He's saying, no, it can't be a naturalistic explanation. It has to be this guy I believe in that twitches his nose and makes shit happen. Like, how is that, how do you go from naturalistic is wrong, so it's got to be some dude in the sky that's,
the only way you arrive at that is by using a logical fallacy.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, what's so precious about this as well is that, he's also trying to argue against, thermodynamics by claiming that this process of life somehow violates the notion of, this idea of thermodynamics in chemical systems or, non-chemical systems. No, it does not. The process of biological systems, even though they're complex, all cells in your body manipulate thermodynamics in the sense that there are certain chemical reactions that if you were to just place them in a test tube, right, some of them would occur because the energy in the system is sufficient to allow that reaction to move forward and produce its products. But some reactions would not occur because there's not enough energy in the environment to produce products. But the idea basically is the cells in your body have ways of making complex reactions occur. And most, if not all, chemical reactions in your body manipulate this process. So they always increase the disorder of something. So it's either the disorderliness of a chemical structure, which is something we can measure, and it's called entropy, or it increases the entropy of its environment. And entropy is a very nuanced, like statistical and thermodynamical concept, but it's not as simple as Smokey was wanting to point it out to be.
The specificity of the complexity. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And then what is the probability calculation for the God that created all this? And I know they hate when we do that because they just want to say God first. Don't question it. We're just going to drop this in. We're just going to plunk it in, and we don't want you to ask, where did God come from? Or what is the probability that the God popped out of where, what? Yeah, it's just ridiculous. They're misusing probability. Probability is something that we use to try to figure out what is going to happen next, or to try to figure out maybe what is happening in a complex gas or something like that. But it is not something we're going to use to figure out how Joe Smith got to work this morning. I mean, we're not going to sit down and do after Smith arrives at work. We don't sit there on the back of an envelope and write down all the probabilities of how he got here and figure out whether or not it is probable for Joe Smith to be here, because fucking Joe showed up for work. He's here. It's like, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, why do we need to figure out how improbable it is that Joe showed up when Joe just arrived?
And the thing is, like, probability alone doesn't account for mechanism, right? So probability assumes to some extent that the likelihood of all events occurring are equal, and it doesn't consider that, like with certain theories we have that govern chemical reactivity, that's not exactly true at all. That there are some reactions, in fact, that heavily favor the formation of one product over another, either by means of how that mechanism or by means of how that reaction actually occurs, or some other thing that's secondary to it, such as the stability of the final product.
Because it's not random. There are pathways. And like when a cell differentiates, when a stem cell in an embryo differentiates into different tissue types, there are pathways that it follows that make it highly probable that it's going to go down this way, just like it is highly probable that a river is going to follow a riverbed. And there's no improbability at all there. And so if you were to find all of the different probability pathways you would find out that it wasn't improbable at all. Not one step was improbable. It almost had to happen.
Hey, the water thinks this riverbed was made just for me.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
And to answer Jay Pasik's question, yes, Smokey is a walking equivocation.
Yeah, he is.
And it reminded me, and I won't out who this person is, but on Twitter, this person had said, responding to an SJ tweet, science is there and discovers. It develops and explains many things, but also accepts theories as truth. I never get tired of when they, fail on that equivocation that, a scientific theory is just a guess,
Yeah, it's a theory.
Yeah, it's just you should never say like it's just a theory,
right?
And it's because like the conventional use of theory is actually appropriate in that sense. That hey, I have a theory that Tom is going to show up to the bar today at 10 minutes late. We're supposed to meet 7, but that son of a bitch was going to show up at 7:10. I just know it. But a scientific theory is much different. A scientific theory is based upon a collection of facts, and it's based upon a vast number of experimental evidence, a vast number of lines of experimental evidence that support whatever it is these explanations are trying to explain.
It's based on a lot of mechanism.
Yeah,
Well, no, I just wanted to finish with this high brain thinker here that posted, but goes on to say science is accepts theories as truth. Science is not absolute. God is absolute. Science says we can't walk on water. Science can't define spirit. Science has no word on sin or righteousness, and it says not even truth. Like that, there's no truth in science. I just don't understand that.
I don't understand that either. I mean, like the thing about walking on water, humans can't because we're not like frogs or amphibians or things like that. So no, we can't. But certain like amphibious creatures can. The soul, I don't know why this is being brought up either. Because if you read into the historical context of a soul, they interpreted that as being the breath as just being the breath of something. And so they thought that once something had, ceased to breathe, that its soul had departed from them, literally.
Well, and then you can add to that too, that in all reality, we can't, with the bodies we were supposedly given by God, walk on water, but we can walk on water. I mean, I remember this project we did when I was a kid where we used foam and we actually used these louvered blinds to where you could put them on like a pair of shoes and then go across the lake. And when you went forward, the blind slats laid flat. And then as soon as you pushed back on it to move forward, the blind slats would pop out and you'd have like these rudders, that would propel you forward.
Wow.
But
cool.
This other guy, or this guy here, Jay brought up equivocation. I mean, I don't understand why, especially Christians, they talk about how, well, you got to know how to read the Bible right. You got to know the context. You got to know the actual meaning of the words in the ancient language. Well, motherfucker, you can't even understand English properly. Words are polysemous. Words aren't only polysemous. Some phraseology is polysemous. Some idioms are polysemous, can mean more than one thing. And here you are, and when I say you, I'm talking about, this collective of, Christians that wants to demonize science, that it can't be a real thing. And here you can't understand the difference between one usage of the word theory and a colloquial usage of the word theory. I mean,
yeah,
drives me crazy.
Yep. So we're at the end of what I want to do with Smokey entirely. So I'm glad you're here, John. You can take his carcass and drag him over to Knock, and you guys deal with him.
Well, speaking of Knock, I don't know if either of you saw his tweet earlier, but
No.
he went to the hospital today because his leg is hurting so bad. He's thinking he might have a blood clot. That's something he's dealt with in the past.
Oh shit.
And his COVID has been coming back over the last few days. Or well, I mean, I guess since the symptoms started getting worse, I would imagine that means that it never went away, but that he was just having, an easy time of it there for a few days, and now he's having trouble breathing and everything. So the open room tonight, he might be there. If not, I'll be running the room. But he's going to, I think he's going to the emergency room because, if you got a blood clot in your leg, you got to take care of that right away.
You gotta take care of it, yeah.
Yeah, and then he's thinking that with the way he's feeling, because of the COVID shit, he was thinking that they might put him on a respirator.
Yeah, COVID has a habit of dying down and coming back the second week or a week after or something, some goddamn thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, keep us posted on how he is. Hell, that's too bad.
Yeah, this is so weird because I met Knock online. We've never met in the real world.
Yeah.
We're planning on it whenever my parole's over, but he. Yeah, I mean, I wish him the best, and it's hard to care about somebody, and he's a couple states away, and I've never really met him in the flesh. You know what I mean? It's kind of a weird situation.
Are you guys on the western side, or are you out east?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Oh, so you're east. I thought you guys could meet in the middle, come to Minneapolis and say hi someday. Someday when all this shit is over and we can actually get together again.
What you're that's where you're at, Minneapolis.
Yeah, Minnesota. Yeah.
Is weed legal in Minnesota?
I think it's on the ballot, or there's something on the ballot. They legalized. I don't know. They dropped it a little bit, but it's not. I have no idea. I don't really keep track too much. But yeah, they did legalize medical marijuana, I think, but it's not like Colorado. It's not as lax. But they're getting there. They're working on it. So Minnesota is kind of run by Minneapolis, like the biggest population. It's really highly liberal. And then rural, that's about maybe 30% liberal and 70% assholes.
Huh.
Did I say that?
Yeah,
Did you?
Yeah, you've been on camera too, so watch out when you go out and about.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, my neighbor, me and him, went out there and talked about who he voted for. It was pretty funny. He voted for Trump. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And he's a really intelligent guy, a nice guy. And he just thinks Trump's just like a out-of-the-box radical, that's going to get shit, move, going to make a change. He sure as hell has made a change. You got to hand it to him.
He's out of the box, all right.
He's out of the box, and he has made it. He's out
of pocket.
Right. Shit has happened in this last 6 months that I have not seen all of my life. And a lot of it, like back in the 60s when we had the Vietnam protests and stuff. I mean, this is the first time that I've seen anything like that, and I'm pretty fucking old.
Yep.
It's like, Jesus. And I've never seen a pandemic. This is brand new.
I mean, Trump, this will be crazy, but Trump makes me long for Nixon.
Yeah, I like Nixon. No, and like all those guys. I mean, God, Tricky was a good guy compared to Trump.
I think that if you took away a little of the craziness, Trump would be a perfect politician in Great Britain.
Yeah,
because he'd be able to get up in Parliament and like call everybody names and say crazy shit. And, that's normal over there.
Yeah. I don't know. Pretty crazy. We got 2 weeks left before we find out whether we're doomed or not.
Well, people tell me I'm crazy. My prediction is Trump doesn't win more than 4 or 5 states.
Yeah, I got a feeling it's going to be a landslide. I don't know. But you never know. Shit. I didn't see the last one coming.
Let's hope the Dems don't make the same fucking mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah, I mean, you don't want to say it's a fait accompli, but Oh my God, man! Like if he wins again, like what the fuck are we going to be in 4 years?
I don't know.
Very
I
good
think
question.
I worry about our position in the world over the next 4 years. I mean, it's already damaged badly, and I don't know if we can handle another 4 years. I'm afraid that bad shit's going to happen. I don't know.
Well, and people made the argument that if he wins again, he isn't going to care and everything. I'm like, no. If he wins again, he's going to get even crazier.
He's going to get really crazy. God knows what's going to happen. I don't know.
Isn't it funny how us non-believers still have those little idioms in our language?
Like,
God knows.
Yeah. Well, it's convenient. God is a convenient word, meaning, like the underlay of everything, that sort of thing. So it's a nice little word they gave us, and we just have to use it properly, and not get all fucking weird about it.
Well, let's take a page from your guys' book, and like from now on, let's make a pact, the three of us. That anytime we go to say something and the word God is going to come out of our mouths, let's say foreskin.
Yeah. Okay. Foreskin knows.
Yeah. Praise be to foreskin.
Foreskin will be the judge of that one.
Kill them all and let foreskin sort them out.
Yeah, I wanted to use circumcision as a way to start the video, but it got voted down yesterday. So,
what?
Circumcision is supposed to be like the opposite of foreskin, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
I thought you were saying that like you were trying to power your computer off of the fucking power generated by fucking cutting your foreskin off.
Oh, never thought of doing that. Anyway. Okay, so Smokey doesn't know shit about philosophy, as it turns out. I was kind of depressed. I mean, I've been waiting to catch him, making an argument. Huh?
I wasn't at all surprised.
Yeah, I guess he sounds like he's supposed to know what he's talking about. I mean, he had all this bravado, and then he comes out with this as his argument, and I wasn't impressed.
And he talks all this shit about how atheists don't know philosophy, and he conflates like metaphysical naturalism with methodological naturalism, and he committed so many logical fallacies and just so many simple errors in this debate that it's very hard for me to accept like that he's actually studied philosophy for any period of time at all.
Well, which book of the Bible talks about philosophy?
Yeah,
that's true.
I'm going to be sending a link to this little video here to Richard Madsen because, no, Richard, Smokey does not have a great brain. Smokey does not know anything about epistemic warrant or philosophy. I still can't believe he propped Smokey up, with those superlatives. It was just unbelievable.
He postures like he does, which is why this surprised me, to actually see into it and see how weak it actually is. So,
well, and what it is certain people have a knack, and I'm not talking about like his normal shtick where he's just like raging at people. He's the raging theist as far as I'm concerned, but I don't mean that pejoratively against Knock because, he is someone who has good communication skills. He's got, aside from his laugh, he's got, a pretty pleasant voice. He could be doing radio work or something like that.
Yeah.
And when people hear that, they lend credence to the words that are coming out of somebody's mouth that is able to do that. I mean, that's, the commission sales was built on that ability. It's just, it says nothing about how intelligent anybody is in any given subject just because they can sound reasonable and
smooth.
Yeah, smooth and all
like
that.
Standing for truth. He is the smoothest, slickest thing I've heard come out of creationists in a long time.
He could sell you a car if he really wanted to.
Yeah, he is. I describe him as a ShamWow salesman.
Yep.
He just rolls it out there, and there's no content, and it just keeps rolling and rolling.
SFT could sell dildos to asexual people.
He could.
He could. Yeah, he's pretty good at it. You got to watch that one. I don't know.
The thing is, like, I think Smokey is actually a pretty smart dude. He could be at times, but just the thing I don't like about him is just this whole ego complex he has, in terms of just calling everybody trash clown, and the level of vitriol that goes into his tirades against atheists for hours and hours on end.
Yeah.
It's if you were anywhere near as humble as you demand of other atheists, and just weren't a fucking dick to people, there wouldn't be as many issues and as many talks about you as there are with Nakasutri and other people that cover you.
Yeah, I often think, crosses my mind, does this guy have Tourette's? Because he just
the laugh.
Well, no, but
the trash clone thing.
Right. Yeah. He can't. Like I've said this before too. All right. So a lot of people get the ad hominem fallacy wrong. Because they call just an insult that has nothing to do with the topic. They say, "Oh, that's ad hom." But if you rebut your interlocutor's point or argument, and you rebut that with a sound argument, and then at the end of it you say, "Well, yeah, and you're a fucking douche too." That's not ad hominem, okay? But Smokey is the epitome of the ad hominem fallacy, because he often makes arguments that, well, you can't be right about this because you're a rat-road retard atheist, or you're this or you're that. So, he is the epitome of equivocation, as I said earlier, and he's the epitome of the ad hominem argument.
Well, that's the thing. He always associates people's intelligence and ability to be intellectually honest, with what he considers atheism.
Yeah.
And it's just one of these things where it's okay, I wouldn't say that about Christians, because I've met Christians that are actually intelligent and that actually know what they're talking about and stuff like that.
Yep.
And it's it's one of those things where if you're trying to categorize atheists into a box, then surely if you're going to do that, you think we should have the same right to do that with you.
Don't call me Shirley.
Okay, Shirley. But
surely.
But yeah, it's just amazing, his level of disrespect towards people who he disagrees with, yet he demands that we have this very basic but also high level of respect for his positions.
Well, and the thing is too is, okay, so you could assume that all atheists would adhere to naturalism, because most of them are claiming they don't believe in supernatural causation. But there's a lot of atheists out there that wouldn't even be able to sit down and have a conversation with you about naturalism, and wouldn't know the terminology about it and the differences between that. And, so for him to just assume that all atheists, are these, people that are well-versed in naturalism, and even that all of them adhere to naturalism. Because there's people that don't believe in gods, but they believe in other supernatural things. They wouldn't walk under a ladder, or they'll throw a pinch of salt over their shoulder if they see a black cat, or whatever. Right.
Yep.
Jay's here. What's going on, Jay?
Hey, Jay.
Oh, not much. Yeah, I think one of the best telling things about Smokey is that he's a very abusive person, and he finds way of making excuses for why he can abuse certain individuals for whatever reason he wants.
Well, here's something interesting. I had 2 conversations with him, and they were pretty light. And he had warned me in email.
Hey, Brenda's here as well.
Yeah, he warned me. He warned me in email, and he warned me, I think, on the streams, that if we started arguing about naturalism, that he sort of said that it was going to get really rough, like he was going to become hostile. And then at the end of that Anthony Maurice thing, he started to become hostile. And then he asked me if I wanted to get into it, and I was like tired, and I said, no, I don't want to get into it. Not after the shit I had just put up with Anthony Maurice. So basically what it was is he was going to start calling me a trash clown. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be like him yelling or what. I mean, he indicated that it was not a conversation that I wanted to get into, and hence I didn't. But then if you don't get into it with him, if you don't justify your naturalism, he calls you even worse, trash something else clown.
Rat, roach, retard.
Well,
Roach retard, yeah, whatever, yeah.
Well, what justification of naturalism is he looking for?
He's looking for something, but anything he gets, he is going to reject. Because in that conversation with Anthony Maurice, I started to present a case for abiogenesis and hence naturalism, and they immediately just jumped all over me. I mean,
So, look, I just watched yesterday this thing. It was from like about 5 months ago on that. I can't remember one of the channels that goes after Darth Dawkins all the time. And he was talking to Hogtie Chan. Now, Smokey claims he hates Darth Dawkins, but he's, cut from the same cloth as Darth Dawkins.
Yep.
And Darth Dawkins, he kept asking that same fucking question with the same faulty premise, with the same begging the question claim that he makes every time you start asking, well, without God, you can't, how can you have a basis for any intelligibility and any, I can't even, I've heard so many times and I can't even really remember right now, but that's the basis of it. Like, well, without God, you have no basis for intelligibility and logic, and how can you know anything and all that? I mean, it's just nonsense, man. And that's, in different words, that's basically what Smokey is saying too.
Yeah. Yep. Hi, Brenda.
Good afternoon, or actually
Good.
morning.
Still morning. Yeah.
Speaking of people who aggravate Smoke very, very quickly, Brenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit of that.
I had to school him on elementary logic. I went into one of his streams and just had to correct some basic principles of logic that he had no clue about.
You mean you didn't know the difference?
The unfortunate thing about that, Brenda, is that unfortunately you didn't school him at all, because he probably rejected anything you had to say out of hand without even really listening to what you're saying.
Despite how much philosophy he supposedly has studied, which is just a fucking lie, he didn't understand that there's multiple types of logic.
Didn't know the difference between sound, a valid, and
Yes, that was the distinction. That was the distinction he couldn't understand.
Yeah, I remember that one.
The nicest thing I can say about Smokey is if he ever gets lost in the woods, he'll be able to build a fire by rubbing his arms together.
Yeah, so
I think he was saying that a premise was valid or sound or something.
What he was saying, so what he was saying is that you can have a valid argument which is true, but which is unsound, which is not true. Which is actually
Right.
right.
No, that is true. That is true.
Well, he
so
was saying,
premises are always either true or false. Arguments are not true or false. They are either sound or unsound, a valid and they either have a valid or invalid logical structure.
But valid goes to form. Like it goes
Correct.
to form, whether the syllogism is right or not, or is it in the correct form. And then soundness goes to the validity of the argument.
Well,
yeah, 'cause you can do an argument based on an if, and that argument is valid, but because the if hasn't been demonstrated to be true, it's not sound.
yeah.
Right. Like
But the conclusion of an argument.
What's with the one with the moon and the cream cheese or something? There's an argument that's always an example of a valid argument, but that's not sound. I can't remember. Something about the moon being made out of cream cheese, or
Well, that's an Aussie favorite.
yeah. I can't think exactly what it is right now.
I can't remember it without probably butchering it. It's been a while.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah. So basically, validity goes to whether it's formally valid, so you can have false premises can nevertheless form a formally valid argument, but the conclusion would be false, even though the form is correct.
Yep.
Soundness goes to validity.
A conclusion could just happen to be true, even with an invalid or an unsound argument. It just doesn't. It just means that it's not particularly connected. So I think that's what he was trying to say, but then he said it the wrong way. And at one point, he said that a premise was, or a statement was, a proposition was valid or sound. No, that applies to an argument.
You could arrive at an argument that's conclusion happens to be valid, but the way it's been argued is unsound.
Yeah.
Right. Well, but and that's, if you rule out a conclusion because it was made in an invalid way, I think that's another fallacy. I think that's the fallacy, isn't it?
You're right. You're right here. No direction. Validity, deductive, simply means that the argument is such that the true premises guarantee the truth of the conclusion. Soundness deals with whether the premises are true and the argument is valid.
And what that means is that it can be it can be derived from the premises. The conclusion can be derived from the premises. There's a validity when you apply the rules, and you can so that if the premises are true, the conclusion has to be true, and that's what
inductive. Inductive and abductive validity are different.
Like, okay, here's one. Okay, dogs have 4 appendages. Caesar had 4 appendages. Caesar's a dog.
Yeah,
that's valid in form, but the conclusion is false.
Right.
Didn't he have a recent stream about the no true Scotsman fallacy?
Yeah, he tried to explain why it wasn't a fallacy and failed miserably.
No, because it is a fallacy.
Was he responding to me particularly? Do you know in that stream?
I don't know.
I think they were. They were.
I mean, because when we were talking about this earlier, Brenda, like, okay, Smokey and CJ, which is the synagogue on Twitter, they both claim that Catholics are not Christians, and then they both go on to claim that is not the no true Scotsman fallacy.
Yeah,
there was a debate between some guy and Matt Slick about Catholicism. And the Catholic wiped the floor with Matt Slick on that one. And I don't remember the guy. I think his name is Generous, or he's also a geocentrist. But
what?
Yes.
Yeah.
Huh.
Which is crazy, but these days not as crazy as flat Earth.
Well, the Earth is the center of my world.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Actually, yeah, but if anybody can find that, it might be interesting at giving you fuel, because his argument was basically an argument. He went to the Peter is my rock thing, but more to the point, he went to, I've got 1,500 years of tradition behind me. You, as a Protestant, can only go back to, Luther, and you don't have any authority behind yours. I've got the authority of tradition, and for certain persons, that's going to be a very compelling argument.
Argument from history.
Well, he said he can claim that we as Catholics have an unbroken line of authority in the papacy from the time of Jesus, and that is more reliable than your many interpretations of the Bible, right? So they could. I think you could construct a compelling argument along those lines.
I asked a Christian last night in the Open Hangout, and this had never dawned on me before because we were talking about, different parts of the Bible and ancient texts and how to, determine whether they're accurate or not. And I thought to myself, why are there no contemporaneous writings by Jesus Christ?
There's no writings by Jesus.
That's what I'm saying. Why isn't there? Because
Because he was a carpenter, not a scholar. Come on.
You're not a right.
I mean, the dude could walk on water and rub dirt in somebody's eye and fix them, and multiply fishes and wine. But he couldn't write.
What? I don't know what that means.
Well, no, I mean he's supposed to be God incarnate as man.
I think he's referring to doubting Thomases.
Yeah, doubting Thomases. Yeah, he should have. If he's God, he should have at least known how to write. So.
Hey, you guys want to hear something funny? There's a video, so I've got the link to it of doubting Thomas, who's enjoying his evening. Let's just put it that way. Who is baiting the shit out of Smokey, and he falls for it every time.
Well, that's
you got a link.
That's something that Knock has talked about at length. How doesn't matter what Smokey goes live for, he can be derailed off whatever he's talking about by one fucking well-placed comment in the live chat. There's been so many times he'll be going he'll stop mid-sentence and Doubting Thomas, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, you rat road read,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, he keeps a close eye on the chat because if I come on, he just, lately though, he has been ignoring me entirely. Interesting. He has quit talking about me finally. So. Yeah,
that's right, Puddin'.
Yep. I love when you call me that. That's just, it's kind of become an enduring term. My kids are calling me Pudding now, and. Sometimes they call me pedo pudding just to be, just to drive the point home.
Oh, and I mean, look, dude, ever since you told me you were a power bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, Pudding. The links in the private chat, you could scroll through to, I think it's about the 30-minute mark.
Don't fucking press it, Jay. I do have the power. It's in the private. You have a rent, by the way, so you could have put it in regular chat. So, but no, you're making me do all this fucking work.
It's in the private chat. You just
I know, but you could have put it in regular chat too.
Fine, I'll put it in the regular chat too.
No, I just did. I just did your work for you.
What is?
I gotta do every fucking thing.
It's a link. It's a link to Togg's channel, and about 30 minutes in, Smokey shows up. And he starts talking to them, and Doubting Thomas is obviously enjoying his night, and he's having some fun, some very subtle fun with Smokey. It's funny. It's not like belly laugh roar or any kind of thing like that. But it's entertaining to watch. You only got to watch like 10 minutes of it, and it's 10, 15 minutes of it. It's hilarious.
Hey, speaking of a video with a timestamp. Does anybody know how, like on Discord, oftentimes people will post a video and it's already queued up to the timestamp they're referring to? Does anybody know how you do that?
Yeah,
you just I don't know how you get it. You just right click and right click and copy video URL at current time.
Yep.
And it puts a little timestamp in it.
Yeah.
It looks like I just did it with Smokey. I'm going to put it in chat. But I'll show you, all it is T equals, and then the number of seconds after that. So 1749 seconds, I think. Is that right?
Basically, when you get to the part of the video, the YouTube video that you're watching, you pause it, right click on the video, and it'll give you copy URL, but it'll also give you copy URL at current time. Click that, and that makes that link, and then you can paste it, and that takes everybody to exactly where you paused it.
Yeah, you can also copy embed code and stuff like that.
Yep.
I'll show you. It looks like that. This option right here. Can you see that, John?
I'm holding the laptop right up to my fucking eyeball right now.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Well, that's one thing about I wish they would fix in the StreamYard thing. I think you should have the ability to make the little box that you're seeing the stream on. You should be able to make that full screen.
I know. Yeah. Be able to, and then on the right here, I've got something called Rocket Note or Rocket, and I can actually do these timestamps over here. So you see on the right, I have all these timestamps. I can go to a spot in the video, and I just set them all up in advance. But it's got a few issues. Like one of them is this formatting up here. Like when you edit a tag, it puts all this garbage in here, and I've been working with the guy trying to get it fixed. But they charge $2 a month, but it's a pretty convenient thing. They keep tabs of all your timestamps for all the videos you've ever done. On a database.
That sounds like a bargain, actually.
It is a bargain. Everybody should sign up for this guy, and then maybe he'll fix his formatting problem for me.
Hey, Sal, do you and Immutable ever get together IRL?
Sal? Who?
So, who?
I said sound.
Oh,
Sound.
me. Sound. Speed.
Sound.
What did I say? Oh, I said sound. All right. Speed. Do
You
you
ever
ever
call me
together
Speed
with-
or Foreskin? One or the other. You can call me Speed or Foreskin.
Five skin.
Okay.
So, do you ever get together with Immutable in the real world?
Not yet.
No, not yet. I live in
Ever-
Florida.
If you ever get near his car, disconnect that fucking dinging noise for when he opens his door.
Oh yeah, I know.
I'm at a job currently, so that's not
Yeah.
the door.
Yeah, that's sort of a PA system or whatever.
The PA thing or whatever
Yeah.
the fuck it is.
Yeah, John, if I ever get a hold of them, there's a whole lot of shit I want to disconnect in that boy.
Yeah, oh, okay. I'll tear you limb from limb speed. Don't worry.
I'm pretty fucking fast.
Hey,
I'm
hey,
old,
Speed,
but I'm fast.
hey, Speed, did you see Tom Jump's latest stream?
I have not.
Yeah, he talks to some guy from, I believe he's on another continent, somewhere in Africa.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He's some African guy, but I think he's a Buddhist though. It was a wreck. Oh my God.
Really?
It was terrible.
I will have to check that out. I usually follow Tom.
It's not enlightening though.
Yeah. Not enlightening.
I thought you were going to say that Tom talked to Artangelo again. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that might be fun to watch.
Oh,
but
no.
Has Tom talked to Otangelo?
Tom
Yes,
has talked to
Yes.
Artangelo.
Yes.
I think I did see that, and that was
That was a few
lot of-
months ago. Facebook live stream.
I can't remember exactly what the topic was, but Otangelo came into our room one night, and he was telling Leo and a couple other science-minded people that were in the room why they were wrong about something, and that's wrong because of this Bible verse or whatever. And
Well,
and,
he
and
was
so
trying
Leo,
to.
and then so Leo explained it to him pretty basically. I mean, and he broke it down, in a few spots to like very basic language. And when he got done, Otangelo said, Could you explain that to me one more time and tell it to me as if I was a 6-year-old?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
I put the link to the Tom Jump thing.
It's a Sriman Vihara, something I can't pronounce, something like that.
Yeah, let me.
The best of Tom's recent debates is his debate with the Thomist, that rage quit at the end. That's still my favorite of the of recent videos of his.
Which one was that?
Reason and Theology, Reason to Believe in God. It's with
Oh, okay, right here, Thomism. Yeah.
Do you see my campaign managers in the live chat?
What's that?
My campaign managers in the live chat.
Campaign manager. Who's that?
Maynard Saves.
Oh,
there you go.
Peterson 2020.
There we go.
okay. I think I put another one.
And I
Right.
just realized something too. You guys jumped down my throat because I called him Sound. And then I just realized when he put that comment up with the link, Sound's in his fucking name.
I
Yeah, we
know,
call it speed.
but people call me Speed. I just didn't respond right away because I hadn't heard that before.
I'm like sitting here thinking, oh man, I was way out of line calling him Sam.
Well, I kind of have to be going. I have an appointment. I have an appointment to get to. But,
What the hell?
Hey, Brenda.
Yeah.
We're having we have open hangouts every Wednesday night at 7 Eastern over there on the Rage.
Oh, okay.
I think Walking Fish and I are doing a thing on vertebrate evolution at 5:00 today.
Really?
So I got to go to sleep.
Well, you checkmate atheist. You can't account for abiogenesis, therefore God exists.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Checkmate atheist.
I know. You can't account.
Thank you, Maurice.
Yeah. You can't account for abiogenesis, but my God picked up a handful of dirt and made a dude.
What do I have on the screen right now? Oh, something's on the screen. Oh, something's on the screen.
You must have shared it.
I shared something from Jay.
So let's see. Smokey, Doubting Thomas, Mr. Lizard, this one guy.
Oh, is that? He sleeps. I remember this video. I don't know why.
That Jay was referring to where Doubting Thomas is getting the best of Smokey.
Yeah, Jay is sharing this screen, but Jay, you're muted.
Oh yeah, sorry. Do you guys want to hear this?
Sure.
Okay.
Fuck yeah.
YouTube. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Good morning, gentlemen. How we
Any
doing?
way you can up the volume there?
I just click on the place, just like I did yesterday on Ginger's. I click on it, and I'm topic of conversation everywhere I go. I can't escape it. It's insane.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. Thomas, to answer your question also to Wiley, number one, I don't use it all the time. And you're right, guys. If I used it all the time,
Every time I hear his voice when he starts out, I put the lotion on its skin again, or else it gets the hose.
I'd do me. Would you do me?
I don't know. Ever since he did that thing where he's like talking about how he's got like impeccable, I've got such a fantastic, impeccable palate, and blah 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 blah. It's like
I wonder if Knox done it yet, but there was a fucking great one we were watching when he was in a room with Smokey, and at one point, Knock mentioned how triggered he was, and then fucking Smokey went on for like 10 seconds. He's like, oh, trigger, yeah, I'm trigger,
Well, this is great because, well, you'll just see that the way Doubting Thomas handles him is just like he's nothing. He's just, yeah, whatever, dude. Agree even more.
would lose its value. It would lose its substance, but no. The trash clowns get called trash clowns. The regular people get treated with respect. Respectable people get treated with respect. That's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to be. Wiley, I get that. And Thomas, by the way, if you like to improve your reputation, it just has to do with what you present. Okay, and you know what? I'm one to take people.
I have no desire to improve my reputation with you at all.
Well, perfect. Well, then we have no issues. Then you'll continue to be exactly where you are, and you shouldn't have an issue complaining about it. Good morning, Tommy. Good morning.
I don't think you was.
Awesome.
But yeah.
So why do you? Well, can I ask? Is there a reason you don't have the ability to feel shame about being an intellectually useless, weed out junkie? Is there something wrong with you mentally that you?
When did you stop beating your wife?
Yeah, this is kind of a loaded question.
Kind of. Yeah, it's full barrel. It's double barreled right there. That's what I was talking about with my brother when we reviewed one of Smokey's videos. Was it's like all he does is he's okay. I see these people as X. These people are Y. They're trash clowns. They're fucking nasty people. These people over here, they're fine. But it's based on what he calls his axiomatic justification for them. He accepts his opinions axiomatically. He's actually tried to justify that in videos. Like, this is why I can call you a piece of shit. This is why I can call you filth and a rat. Like, forget the fact that you're a fellow human being. Just by the way that you're talking to me and the way I disagree with you, I'm labeling you as this. You are this.
Because of discernment.
Yes, his spiritual, yes, and his perfect discernment.
Well, let me tell you something, though. The fool says in his heart, that there is no God. I mean, so you're all fools.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, well, that's how
I'm sorry.
He's a guy that justified starting a YouTube channel to be an asshole to a lot of people because he has perfect discernment and he's on a mission from God, and that pretty much sums him up entirely.
But he doesn't realize that he's literally just one logical step from being like, here's posters for everybody to put up how to identify the atheists, those rat trash clown filthy bastards. Like this is how you can detect the atheists by the smell of pot on them.
Yeah, God is giving
so on and so on and so on.
Right.
Hey, Speed, share that molecular alchemy post from a minute or so ago. Yeah. So apparently Otangelo is somewhere trying to rebut things we're saying, but won't come in here and try and rebut.
No, actually, it has nothing to do with what we're saying. I don't think. He just randomly posts his cat's board things, like his 15-page long comments in all of my videos. So he did one yesterday. He did one a couple days. He does one about every other day. So I don't think it means anything. I don't know.
By the way, like you have a disorder or something, maybe.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did somebody want to ask me something?
No, go ahead. Okay. Run.
Because like most people, when they're exposed to being like walking piles of subhuman crap, generally aren't like continually proud of it. Like after the fact.
Hey, when I happen to be like a weed junkie, and I think that's all right.
Well, yeah, but at least you're talk.
I
wouldn't
dance for me, Smokey.
Yeah, I wouldn't
dance for me, Smokey.
I was giving you.
I don't do it all too much, but I do talk about it. You know, I'm not like a big 420 person.
Yeah, and I think you've heard me say that before, Tog. It has to do with whether or not any substance can be abused.
I know, but
what I mean?
I don't think Dylan Thomas is the same boat either.
Oh no, he worships weed. He worships weed.
I don't think so.
He has nothing to worship unless he finds something physical.
It's like Doubting Thomas has this fucking voodoo doll in his hand right now that's got like the string on the back of it. And he's just prompting Smokey with statements and he knows exactly what Smokey's going to say. Like he's pulling the string on his back and making him say whatever he wants him to say.
Oh, yeah. And Nicola brings up a good point here. He goes further. What No Direction is referring to in that post right there is he basically, Mama Atheist called him a fuckwit, called Smokey a fuckwit. And then he asked her if she kisses her kids with that mouth or whatever, but basically he justifies calling her kids cockroaches or spawn. Yeah, do you kiss your spawn with that mouth? And the reason he justified that is because she's a cockroach, and so what she gives birth to are basically just baby cockroaches.
Well, right, and because Knock doesn't interpret the Bible the same way Smokey did, he made the claim that his entire family must be trailer trash.
Yeah.
Fucking
and St. Tommy and Christ Jesus right there. St. Tommy, the first time I talked to St. Tommy, he's kind of an eccentric guy, but I don't have a problem with him. First time I talked to him, I think was on Jello Shots. Maybe I was in Jello Shots stream or something like that, but this was a long time ago. But yeah, him and Smokey, it doesn't take much for Tommy to get Smokey pissed off either.
To do it. So usually it's either substances or genitalia. I think he kind of worships both. So but he also doesn't have the ability to feel shame either. So that's probably also, kind of a part of the problem.
Actually, I think DT is a little bit more agnostic, but I'm not too sure. DT, you're agnostic, right? In a sense, are you hard atheist? I forget.
Yeah, he's either he's atheist or agnostic, probably. Probably for bad reasons either way. It doesn't really matter. But I want to talk to Tommy. Sure. Tommy's here. Tommy keeps coming in, and I thought maybe he would say something. He never says something to me. Tommy, do you have anything?
Yes. My name calling habit. I'm cutting back on my name calling habit. I'm setting an example.
Well,
I'm setting an example for my neighbors. I'm abstaining from a negative name calling habit. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask you something, Tommy? And I just want to. I want to run this.
No, you can't. No.
Wow. So he gets to say what he wants, and he.
Yeah, they got on after each other on one of Praise's streams. It was funny.
Can I ask you
around, Tommy?
Can I ask you something, Tommy? It's like, no, because I know exactly. You're going to ask me a question just like you act doubting Tom. Well, so because you finger possums' assholes and eat shit sandwiches for breakfast, why are you an atheist? That's the kind of question he wants to ask.
Well, Saint Tommy, I believe he's a universalist, so he's he's very liberal in his thinking of salvation.
You're a spineless, coward, soy-based, idiot, theatrical twat. So you go ahead and just say what you want and believe what you want. By the way, I did give him credit.
Yeah.
I did give him credit.
I did practice the shit in the mirror.
Okay. That's what Doubting Thomas said. Dance for us, Smokey. Dance for us.
Yeah. Oh my God. Doubting Thomas, the Smokey Whisperer.
This is not whispering, dude. This is something else. But man, it works. It works. This is just yeah. Because
I will say
way to go. Way to give him credit.
One thing Tommy does appreciate is the ability of delivery. Okay, now I think he might have been a thespian.
Your delivery is spot on, Smokey.
Actually, Smokey, I do have a small
go on, bro.
grievance with you.
Oh shit!
It happened in Nakatsuchi's. It happened in Nakatsuchi's channel, right? And it came to the point, like you missed a complete insult. And this is why I could tell, like, maybe you just couldn't think of it, but if you're big on insults, you completely missed one with Jen.
Did I? Dang
you
it.
did. You really did.
By the way, no, I'll accept that. In fact, even Henry came in and said, I missed a good opportunity to try to instigate her to just lose her top altogether. And I probably could have. I think Henry was right.
But
okay,
yeah,
where's
she said
just to let everybody know, they're referring to Jen Aldrich.
Yeah.
You are powerful. You are powerful enough to do that, probably.
She said.
I might, dude.
Something.
Okay, well, think about it. Like I get her. Like I just call her a whore.
I know.
Like, I haven't given her tips. I haven't subscribed to her, but she'll show up in a bra for me.
Up in that red bra for you.
For me, my mind is blown.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead, Todd.
And real quick, Jay.
That's fine.
And so Smokey says, Jen's a whore. Jen's a prostitute. She came in there with a red bra on. But didn't he just say a minute ago that I should have goaded her into taking her top off because she probably would have done it? Didn't he just say something like that?
I didn't catch that. No.
I think he did say something like that when Todd was trying to make his point and they cut him off.
I hate to do this because Smokey's probably listening, but all us dudes should take our shirts off and shake our boobs. You know what? Because I'm getting up there and I'm kind of getting them. So
yeah, well, I don't know. I mean,
just go to PMAR's channel. You'll find my brother.
That's why on your channel, I asked Aaron Raw to autograph my tits.
I was thinking she said something like my breasts have more balls than you, right? And you missed it. You could have hit her with it's because they're fake, honey.
I didn't hear it. I didn't actually hear that. No, I actually didn't even hear that comment.
I'm just saying, I love good banter in the sense of insults of flinging it back, and you missed it.
I missed it.
Yeah,
no, I did. No, I'll admit it. Yeah, I
didn't
even actually hear that comment.
I said,
Todd thinks he made the joke of the fucking decade.
I don't get how that one is even funny.
Yeah.
I didn't get that one, but that's fine. If he thinks that it would work for that kind of banter, then that's fine. But I don't think he's purposely being insulting, or to her. But if you're just going to sit there, I think Todd I think Todd is just talking about if you're just sitting there having that kind of roasting banter, joking with each other, giving each other shit.
Well,
but that's not what Smokey. That's not what Smokey's doing with Jen.
Well, have you noticed that Smokey has this really odd, complete lack of understanding of humor?
Yeah.
Like we had this whole thing where Walking Fish, he was the only one that Smokey hadn't called a trash column. So we did an entire, we did our whole Saturday Night at the Atheist based on getting Walking Fish trash column status. And I went over and I commented on one of Smokey's threads. And later on, he said, yeah. And he was trying to get me to call Walking Fish a trash guy. He didn't get the humor of that. He didn't get that we were making fun. And he totally missed it. Huh. And then I had on my whiteboard back here, I had big John Maddox sucks. And every time I did one of my videos, you could see John Maddox sucks rocks or something. And Smokey said, yeah, and he's even painted John Maddox's name on his wall. And he thought it wasn't humor. He thought I actually had painted John Maddox's name on my wall. And it's like, no, it was to fuck with you, okay? And he didn't get any of that. So
and it's on a whiteboard. You can erase it.
Right, but he thought I put it on my wall. He thought I was actually so obsessed with Maddox.
Wow.
So I mean, he misses.
Sorry, I thought you were done. Go ahead.
He misses everything having to do with that kind of humor. He doesn't get into that level of humor at all. I don't know.
Well, and I don't know if it's the same thing with Smokey, but I do know, like, and he's in the chat, I believe. I saw him here a little bit ago. Leo had to explain to me one day. He said, well, because of I'm on the spectrum, he goes, I don't pick up on humor a lot, so sometimes somebody will say something when we're in a live stream and everybody will laugh and then we'll have to stop and explain it to Leo why it's funny, So,
well, yeah, there are people like that.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm glad that he, and he's very open and honest about that, and I'm glad he told us that, because then he can always laugh after the fact when he doesn't understand something, because when we explain it to him, then he's like, oh yeah,
but he can't understand it from atheists. We're ignorant, remember?
Yeah, and then Tog there talking about and he probably didn't intend it this way, but like trying to shame Jen for having aftermarket breasts, and the thing is, a buddy of mine always used to say, if I can feel them, if I can motorboat them, they're real.
I don't think those things are fake.
No, I don't either. But not that I looked at them.
Well, they're not hard to miss.
I mean, dude, not that I've looked at them. You looked at Jen's breast the same way that Trump looked at the sun during the eclipse that day.
I'm trying to fucking be a better person, okay? Give me a break. I'm trying to be a better person.
When you only are watching, you don't have it on. Well, it doesn't matter. It depends on the size of your screen whether or not you can just focus on her face, given some of the tops that she wears. It's like they're there, right? It's not like you have to purposely look, but they're there. You can see them.
They're there. Yeah. Yep.
It's a bad part of me. That's why I said stay away from it, because I can hurt people. And I think, and I don't mean what I said, I just said it as a jab. It's a good jab. There's no.
What I was
I'm
going
saying
to
this
ask
to people.
Tom,
I'm saying that in jest. Right. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. That's fine. No, you're good, Tom. No, that's good. And what I was going to say to Tommy, which is what I was going to carry forward.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks, Smokey. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for your approval, Smokey. Thank you.
So why does Todd sound like he's rubbing one out while he's talking to him?
There's no love between those two.
Well, no, I'm just saying Todd's like I keep hearing him like breathing, like he's breathing through cheesecloth or something. Like,
I don't know.
No.
Which was the greater evil? Was to allow someone to continue passivity, believing themselves to be something they aren't, or to be.
Oh, let me correct. Just to be fair to Tog, there's love there, because Tog would say that he loves everybody, but they do not agree on everything.
Direct and assertive and let things know as they are. It's just it's a fixation on methodology and feelings worship, and that's sad. It's a sad tragedy of a state of affairs. Right. But I do want to let Wiley know.
Yeah, because Smokey never bloviates about his feels.
What the fuck? That methodology of what? What was he talking about?
I don't know.
Feelings.
Methodology through feelings. Like, What are you talking about?
Well, in the debate that we went over today and yesterday, he tries to be eloquent, and he fails horribly, and he scripted it, which really blows me away. And he goes on, but it's just all fucking weird word salad. It's just amazing.
There's like specificity of the complexity, and I was like, what?
Yeah, right. Shit like that.
What you need to define that? Well, just like when you look at a bike, that's specifically complex. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Specificity of the complexity in the inherent projection of a trash clown who doesn't know the difference between an assertion and an assumption, and
their methodology of feeling on how those things bear out. It's a sad state of affairs, man.
Yep.
Sad occurrence in the state of affairs.
Comparable.
Could you say that again, but use more big words?
No, Thomas, I'm not here for your pace. If you have a problem, it's over your head. Sorry.
Oh my God,
Wiley. But to address you in terms of that, like doing it to everyone, that's what the atheists say about me. And they say it in dishonesty. So I don't think you're trying to be dishonest, Wiley, but it's not true. Like there's plenty of atheists who are respectable people. This is the problem, guys. I don't know where you guys got this idea.
I think I know what it is. I think I know what it is, Smokey. Let me explain. I think it's because what you say these things, but you're covering it all the time. So this is all people are hearing you say, like it's common for you to say.
Well, it's just
so maybe, I think if that's it.
Well, maybe
if you're saying all the time,
only pay attention to those moments.
And here's the thing: they're talking about it right now. He's only been in Togg's room for 6 minutes. They're talking about it now. He's already called Tommy a soy-based piece of shit, basically. He's already done it within the first 2 minutes of him being 3 minutes of him being here. He's already done it, and he's already insulted Doubting Thomas. It's just what he does.
Well, if you watched Smokey's video making biscuits and gravy, if anybody's soy based, it's fucking Smokey.
Maybe that's all they care about. Maybe when I do regular streams and stuff, they either don't give me credit or they don't pay attention. Or when I have good conversations with atheists, same thing. They don't give me credit and they don't give me attention.
Be fair.
The intent is to vilify me as being someone who is vitriolic to literally everyone. This is the attempt to slander my reputation. While it's not true, I make chain of evidence observational critiques.
You wouldn't be vitriolic to everyone. You're not vitriolic to the people that agree with you.
I love Laura. Could you guys please unpack this some more? Like Smokey was like ragging us in live chat at one point because we were reviewing something of his. And we were stopped like we're doing now. We were stopping it like every 30 seconds because he says something stupid or crazy every 30 seconds. And we're like 5 minutes in the video and 45 minutes of stream's gone. and then so we were watching him one day. He was reviewing some hangout we had, and it literally took them like an hour to get through like 10 minutes of video. It was just, but he was ragging on us because we were stopping it and commenting so often.
Yeah. The first time he did a comeback on one of my videos, I think it ran like 5 fucking hours, and it was like I think we did like a 30-minute video or something on Anthony Thomas or Anthony Maurice.
Yeah, Doubting Thomas says, "Yeah, but Tommy and I deserve it, Jay." In Strokey's eyes, that's what he calls Smokey.
Strokey.
So his worldview is consistent.
I call him Stinky Snake because he turns on you like a snake, and he's always talking about trash.
What is it?
I assume he lives in a fucking trash bin.
Yeah, Jay does that with Sunflower. He calls him Sunshine.
Sunshine.
Or Sunrise. I'll call him Sunshine or Sunrise.
Upon people with what they demonstrate to me. I do not.
There it is. Now you're sounding better. There it is.
Well, as an example for Thomas, like I don't just call Thomas names for the sake of calling Thomas names, and I don't just.
Yes, you are, you idiot. You don't have to call him those names.
This is the most classic fucking thing ever, man. Doubting Thomas is my fucking, and I was just like irked at him last night, but he's my fucking hero, dude. This has got to be its own video. This has got to be cut out, dude.
Randomly pick out names out of the ether of what to call Thomas. Okay, I attribute to Thomas based upon what he's distributing to me, and same for Wiley,
Sure.
same for you, Tom.
Absolutely. Yes.
This is what he would do if he had a wife that wasn't doing what he thought was right.
Right.
He would beat the shit out of her or just verbally abuse her and then tell her exactly why she deserves that. He's not just arbitrarily picking these names, these words out of the ether. She's deserving it. She's deserving of these titles that he's bestowing upon her for whatever reason he has determined it to be so.
Well, I mean,
And that's precisely why he was baking biscuits with another dude instead of his wife.
I got to offer a little bit of blowback. Smokey might call one of his buddies over to beat his wife's ass because, like, if he tried to punch anything, his arm would snap in half, dude.
Yeah, but he was baking biscuits with a dude, not his wife. There is no wife. The wife left.
Yeah, he was baking biscuits with another dude, if you know what I mean, huh?
Well, maybe that guy, because that guy actually proved to be not a trash clown, whereas his wife was a trash clown.
Right.
As long as he's not doing anything with that guy, he's fine. Other than
that guy will be
baking biscuits.
He will become a trash clone as soon as Smokey tells him to do something and he doesn't do it. So, like,
well, actually, before he made the gravy and biscuits, like he showed, on the camera, like putting the gravy together, but there was a cutaway there, and what that really was from the night before when he was thinking about Jen Aldridge.
Oh, was that where he added the secret ingredient?
That's what the white gravy was. It was.
Yeah. He doesn't use cornstarch. No, cornstarch is being.
Nope.
No cornstarch for this sauce. Got a natural thickening agent right here.
That wasn't Bisquick.
Some people like cream of tartar. I prefer cream of some young guy or cream of my own guy.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it? I mean, I've never had any myself, but doesn't it taste just like caviar?
I don't know.
I never stopped to taste.
Oh, come on, man! You never forgot to bring some peanut with you and licked your fingers afterwards, dude. Come on.
Now Smokey is going to do a video of just this little portion right here and say,
"Yep,
this is what I'm talking about the atheist being obsessed with their genitalia." We're talking about seminal fluid right now.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're an equal opportunity.
So
I am. Equal
in this, you use discernment, right?
Thank you.
Well,
of course, right?
The goal is to always use your discernment, everything, every day. That's why you have it, and that's why you have the walk of the Spirit.
Yes, but your discernment doesn't mean if you think a cop is acting like a douche, you don't go, "Listen, Mr. Officer, I use my discernment every day, and I discern that you're being an asshole." Really? You don't. Doesn't mean you get to use your discernment to insult whoever you think is deserving of it. Right. You moron.
Another thing.
And I discern that based on that stupid statement that you just made.
Another thing I would ask is, do you go to anyone else with your concerns about these people, or do you just make a decision and then say this is so, or do you go to them and ask them about
case by case scenario? Case by case.
Fair point.
What's a case by case?
No, I don't.
It's a case by case.
I mean, if it's case by case, is it a scenario or is it scenarios? I mean,
what's the standard? If it's case by case, okay, so you have certain cases and you have a set. What is the set criteria? What are you using? Because it doesn't seem to take anything to get this guy on that discernment list of being these certain derogatory things. Which, and he's not just he doesn't just insult, he dehumanizes. That's even what No Direction had noticed, because it's not just about insulting them by saying, "I think you're being an idiot right now," or "I think you're being stupid," or "I think you're being a fuckwit." It's, "You're a cockroach, you're filth, you're a rat." He dehumanizes people.
Yeah.
And that's where I always get kind of keyed in on, is like, you're just one logical step away from just like, "Hey, everybody, hand out these flyers to how to recognize these individuals, because I've used my perfect discernment to find all these traits about these people. And once you see all these things, then you'll be able to point and say, those people are trash. They're dumpster clowns," and all this other shit.
You know what it is? I think I finally hit on it. Is in the real world, he's a sub. And then
I have no idea.
No, he is. He's definitely he's got a dom that's like, hanging him by nipple from the basement rafters, and probing his ass with like a rusty nail or something. And
See,
if he hung him by his wrists, they'd crack off.
Yeah.
well, they start out light. They give him a little stool to stand on.
First they make him shit the stool out, then they have him stand on it.
Oh.
Oh.
If it doesn't pile up high enough, you're not going to have any support when I hang you by your wrists.
Very soft-handed approach with many people at different times because I thought that's what was appropriate or that's what was needed. And again, it's about me. And I like I've said this before, I'm not going to get it right 100% of the time, but I'm here to make impact. I'm here to make points. I'm here to make statements.
Oh, you're making impact.
Oh, here we go.
For sure.
Well, there you go, Thomas. Well, there you go. So this is the point.
So now he thinks, see, there you go, Thomas. I'm making an impact. Yeah, you're making an impact.
What's the over under on whether Smokey had a ball gag in his mouth last night?
Jeez, where did this come from?
I don't know. This is the only reason I'm here, man.
Just a guess.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Well, it has a purpose. It has. And by the way, this is what also gets people to pay attention. You guys heard my story about the teacher in the cafeteria. You know, sometimes delivery.
What school was that at? Is there any? Do we have any way to verify that?
This is hilarious.
Oh, that one. I remember.
No, but well, Thomas is asking, do you have any way? Oh, that story about the school. Do you have any way of verifying that? This, yeah.
That story is even true.
Did you even hear the story?
Yes, I heard the story.
So it was me and well, what does it matter if it's anecdotal? It's an example of.
I just want to know if there's any way. I just want to know if there's any way I can verify it, Smokey. That's all. That's all I ask for.
A story of a teacher in a video that I watched when I was in college, closer to high school, 25 years ago. You want to verify that?
Sure.
I want to verify that you went to college.
This is why you get
crazy,
the names you get, Thomas.
I like that. Yeah.
You get.
What was the name of the video?
No, yeah, you are crazy. Yeah, you are baked beyond worth in any conversation.
So it's
man,
not
for
something.
sure.
It's not something you could have
your
just made
anecdotal
up, right?
story about your personal life. I don't believe it until you provide references, dude. You're a joke.
That's
so
like,
something
what class
you could have
was
just
it in?
made up, right, Smokey?
Oh, so I guess I'll just disbelieve anything you say about your life until you provide sources.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Why not?
wow. That's a good way to operate with the life. Yeah, that's a stoner.
He hasn't picked up on the fact that he's fucking with him.
Yeah.
He has not picked up on the fact that he's fucking with him. And he's not even, Thomas isn't even fucking with him hard.
I think when he's attacked, his humor button goes completely off and he takes everything literally.
But he's getting, he doesn't even realize that he's getting worked up and defensive over a stoner fucking with him.
Yeah.
Guy who's enjoying his night off, imbibing in a little substance, take his mind off things, enjoying a freaking live stream. This guy comes in and all he's got to do is ask a simple question that he knows is going to probably get him irritated anyway, and it works.
Well, and like you were saying, Doubting isn't even going at him tough. Like I have this vision of Doubting Thomas in his house doing this to Smokey. At the same time, he's checking the ball game scores on the computer and giving the cat a belly rub and talking to other people in the room.
I've heard Doubting Thomas go full on, and it's something to witness. But with Smokey, he's just playing with him. This is and it does not take much to poke Smokey to get him going. Like all he had to ask, is there any way we can verify this story? And he's just immediately getting defensive about it. I'd have just laughed it off and like, no, man, there's no way I can fucking verify this for you. You either believe the story, you don't. As simple as that.
Or thought if I ever saw one.
I mean, there are people who do boast and lie. Yeah. I mean, we can't deny that. There are people who do come up and make lies about themselves online. I mean, I know my brother-in-law does that. He says he has a job and all these other things.
Yeah,
but
I
really
didn't
just
make
up. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't make up a anecdote from my childhood. I told a story. Now, if you guys really want to disbelieve the story because you're
I'm not.
go for it.
That sure sounds
by the
like
way,
a
what
fake
does
story.
that do for you, Tommy? Doubting that story. It's not like I'm referencing a science, material here. Well, what the hell does that do for you? Doubting that story about a significant emotional event that a teacher told. What does that do for you?
It goes to your character.
And what does science have to necessarily do with it? Is he basically appealing that the only way Doubting Thomas would believe him is if it's scientifically based? Again, it doesn't. Science has nothing to do. That's another one of those loaded questions. It's like, what does science have to do with me believing your claim? And even asking this question: can we verify that you were even in school? And then come to find out he was homeschooled. He never went to public school. It'd be like someone like me who starts talking about stuff that happened in a public school. Go, oh, did you go to that public school? No. Why? Because I never stepped foot in a public school. Where the fuck did you hear the story from? Oh, I heard it from people who went to public school. Well, you never said that you went to. It sounded like you were making the story up like you went to that school. Oh, I apologize. But until somebody catches me on it, I'm not. I can just make up whatever story I want. It's in the details that people start to be able to pick apart certain stories.
Well, and we just kind of breezed over the fact that he said he went to college. Now, from what me and Immutable and Speed watched before you got here, I would highly doubt that he went to college.
Well, I went to college, and I'm a rat. Yeah. I'm filth. So.
That I would lie about a personal anecdotal story that you can't possibly prove I'm lying about, so I have to somehow prove it's true. You do know that's a fallacy, right? That you get to assert something without evidence, and then I'm supposed to prove it the other way. You know that's a fallacy, right?
What kind of fallacy is it? Is there?
That's exactly what he's saying, Smokey. Your fucking anecdote is a fallacy.
It sounds like one of those things that my relatives would make up and put on Facebook. I don't know.
Yeah, that was weird. He's basically done an interesting little burden shift here. He's already said that he talked about this story in school. Doubting Thomas says, "Is there any way we can verify that story is true?" And he goes, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Then it's just an anecdote. It's just anecdotal." And he's like, "Well, what's wrong with it?" And then he turns around and tells him that he's committed the fallacy by asking him that question. That's amazing.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with asking that question. If you say, "No, I don't have any way of verifying this. It's something that happened in school. I remember it. You can either believe it or you don't." But Smokey's gotten pretty defensive about this, about just a simple question.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Doubting Thomas knew that might irritate him, but it worked.
I have to go 3 or 4 syllable name.
I have to go look it up. But it's when you propose something with no evidence and then ask the other person to disprove it because they don't have the evidence to do it. So you basically say, well, you can't disprove it, so it must be true. That's
are you admitting you proposed something without evidence?
Yeah, I proposed a personal story which generally doesn't have any evidence except for anecdotal testimonial evidence, which is from a singular person. So sure, Tommy.
Check it out. Huh. The last couple of sentences that came out of Smokey's mouth exactly described what he did. And because he said because a few minutes ago, he not literally, but he in other words said to Doubting Thomas, "You can't prove it didn't happen, therefore it's true." And now he's trying to fucking project that onto Doubting Thomas.
Yeah.
Maybe you had unrealistic things for evidentiary critiques.
Let Wiley go. He wanted to say something.
Have you read his name? Look at the first part of his name.
No, I saw doubting. I just wasn't. I'm apparently an idiot. Doubting I get, but he doesn't doubt. He's a cynic. Doubting is for someone who's a skeptic, someone who's rational, someone who has reasonable reasons to doubt things that are presented to him. Tommy just apparently will doubt whatever he feels like he wants to put in front of him.
I don't think that's technically what a cynic is.
Well, right. Okay. Cynics often have doubt about myriad things, but just because you doubt doesn't make you a cynic.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, cynical believing, according to this contemporary definition, is an attitude characterized by a general distrust of others' motives. A cynic may have general lack of faith or hope in the human species, or people motivated by ambition, desire, greed, and so on. But there's, the term originally derives from the ancient Greek philosophers, the Cynics, who rejected all conventions, whether of religion, manners, housing, dress, or decency, instead advocating the pursuit of virtue in accordance with a simple and idealistic way of life. It's quite the difference between, right, compared to in Greek philosophy as compared to how we use it now.
Yeah.
What else would I do?
Doubting. Yeah, no, that's not the primary moniker for you, bro.
Geez, I might have to change
Maybe
it.
cynic.
Smokey thing.
Yeah, cynical
Thanks
Thomas. Cynical Thomas. I think
Thanks
that's
for
more
pointing that
appropriate.
out.
Yeah, cynical Thomas.
All right,
Then I
hold
would
on
believe
a second. Hold on a second. How do you spell cynical?
Holy actual
C
crap.
S I N.
You can spell it with an S. I would.
C-Y-N.
I thought it was S.
Oh, I thought it was S-I. It has a Y in there. Wow.
C-Y-N-I-C-A-l.
There's an L? No way.
C-Y-N-I-C-A-l.
Now, Todd.
I didn't know there was an L in cynical. Oh, it's at the end there. I see.
Well, and also, I mean, he is like sitting in front of a computer, I imagine, with Google, but he is asking us how to spell it. That's.
I think he was just saying out loud. I do that at times. Like, I'll go on Google and be like, how do you spell this? Because I'm a weirdo. I don't know.
Why are we going to say something or not?
Oh,
that is way better. That's amazing. That's amazing. That is outstanding. That is just perfect. I couldn't have picked it better myself.
S-I-N-N-A-C-L-E. He spelled it like pinnacle, only with an S.
Well, it's related to sin, right?
How about that? And he tells me just to draw attention. Hey, how about that? How'd I do? Oh, that's great. That's just great.
So, Wiley wanted to say something, didn't he?
Oh shit! There's someone backstage. I'm so
Wiley
rude.
already said.
I'm sorry, Saint Tommy. I'm so rude. My bad. I didn't know you were backstage. I was busy sweeping.
It's emotional outburst and runs away and won't have any engagement. Okay.
I'm sorry, Smokey. I was just toying with you, bro.
Well, what is that about, Tommy? Why do you want to toy with me like that way? Like, what are you trying to do with me? I don't get it.
Because you were gonna punk me. I'm so easy.
No, I wasn't. No, dude, seriously, I wasn't even gonna punk you.
He was punk you. He was talking real kind about you.
All right. Well, you know what? Tommy is allowed to make that critique because I'll admit.
Then doubting Thomas is sitting there. He was talking real kindly about you after you left.
Yeah. What the fuck did he call him? He was an intellectual
soy-based retard or something like that. Yeah.
Well, actually, I mean that's high praise from Smokey.
Yeah.
2 times he's come into rooms and we've had interactions. I have done that, so he's fair. He's fair to anticipate that. I get it.
Yeah.
He was talking real nice about you while you were gone, though, Tommy.
That's fine. No, and he's fair to almost anticipate that. I'll give it to him.
I got it coming to me.
I didn't have it coming to me. Smokey was just being mean to me because I had bad moderation.
That too. Yeah, that happened.
Oh,
no.
I was bullied by Smokey.
Well,
Todd.
I was angry about that.
I don't know. I still don't. I just got a guy yelling at me, and that's all I've ever. Like I still, because I didn't know you from Adam, and then next thing you know, I'm getting
you knew
yelled
me
at.
after that. No, you knew.
Afterwards, of course.
No, you had known me before that when you and Quentin had modded for Rage and Jill. I already knew you guys. You were
Rage and Jill.
Yeah, that was when you guys modded. That's when I said that. I said because I was typing in
questions. Rage and
remember,
Jill
I was typing in questions.
You don't remember modding that?
That's right.
And you guys weren't registering the questions. Yeah. Like then you guys kept disappearing.
Yeah, because the problem was that Quentin, I think, was on something, and something fell through in that conversation between Jill and Knock, and so they asked Tog and Quentin to do it short notice. So when Tog was trying to moderate, he was doing it from his phone while he was working. And Smokey is sitting there just giving him all sorts of shit about the lack of moderation and how shitty it is. And Tog sitting there is like, I'm moderating this while I'm working. And for Smokey, that's just not cutting it. It's like there was this standard of excellence that these guys needed to adhere to for just a fucking small moderate a debate on YouTube. I'm like, give me a fucking break, you fucking wiener.
Well, that's what I meant.
And I'm like, well, what's going on? And then that's when I made that comment,
my
like,
God.
oh my God, Todd Quinton,
That's the
everything you
trigger.
people touch turns to cancer. Like, that's what I said.
Why'd you get so emotional about it?
Well, because I was pissed off. I was watching the debate and I had
It
questions.
was, yeah, it was a good, it was some good pain.
Wait a minute. So he just admitted to feeling his feelings. Wasn't he just ragging about that and other people a little while ago?
Yeah. But remember, the question was, he's like, why'd you take it? Why are you getting so emotional about it? His justification was he was emotional. He said, I was pissed off. Okay, why were you pissed off? What was it about this that was making you so angry?
Well, right, and he won't be able to answer that because the thing is anger is like an ancillary. It's a secondary emotion. There's always other emotions behind anger. That and I'm sure he doesn't know that.
Yeah, he got flopped.
Yeah, it was rough. Well, plus I was irritated by the debate topic to begin with. It was.
I thought you were all about the emotional stuff. I thought emotional stuff was bad. I thought you tried to get people off their emotions.
Is that really what you think? Is that all you can gather from what I say? Like, am I have a problem? Like, do I have a problem?
Now, listen to that response. Is that all that you gather from what I say? What was it about Thomas's question that indicates that that's all he ever gets?
Well, and the other thing is fuck doubting Thomas for judging you by the words that come out of your goddamn mouth.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Most atheists too retarded to get what I say. Is this maybe my problem? Is this
they must be. They must be, man.
It might be, because that's not even the point of anything I have to say, Tommy. That's
he has brought that up many times. It has been addressed multiple times where he talks about just getting tired of these people going off their feelings.
Yeah.
You can accept, and when he starts explaining like why he believes in God, it has nothing to do. I don't think I've ever heard him actually explain to anyone that his belief in Christ is a personal relationship between him and Christ. Okay, what does that mean by having that? Is that personal relationship not based on your feelings? Because he's not specific about anything. Okay, so we can't talk about feelings at this point, but we seem to be able to talk to feelings at this point. How are you doing this? And then when Thomas just asked him, he's like, well, don't you want to get people away from their feelings and stuff like that? And then he's immediately defensive and says, why do you think that that's all you're getting from what he never said about that's all he ever get.
You can't base your arguments on emotion until I'm called out on emotion. Then it's a valid argument.
Maybe.
That's really interesting. Do you know what I talk about when I say like feelings worship? Do you know what that means? Do you know what it means when I say that you can all things are lawful, but not all things are beneficial? So like you can basically abuse anything. You can abuse anything, including worship of your own self.
Could you give me a minute to Google feelings worship? Maybe I could catch up in a minute.
Or you could just listen to what I'm saying. That could be another thing. But sure, I guess if Google is your ultimate source, go for that.
No, I'm a bit of a stone.
You were just saying he was a cynic. Now you want him to take you at face value.
Yeah.
Wow. He's not even consistent with the way he's been. It's like, yeah, but can you? Yeah, let me look that up. And he's like, what? You can't just listen to what I'm saying. No, you just said I'm a cynic, idiot.
And what did he say about self-worship?
Feeling worship.
Yeah,
worship feelings, whatever that is.
If you listen to him, listen to where his laughs happen, and you'll find that he laughs most often when it's something about himself or something he said, but very seldom something somebody else said. So I mean, his laugh usually, like if you compliment him, he does that cackle laugh a lot. It's really interesting. So it's like a very, very self-centered laugh.
Yeah.
Watch that in the future. See if I have
listen really closely though too. Every time he laughs hard enough, he passes gas.
Thomas wrote, best thing is just to let Strokey talk. he will tell you who he is.
Yep.
Yep.
Don't doubt Donkey.
Clearly.
I
No,
gotta
clearly.
catch up.
I don't know why you want to keep selling me on that as if that's something for you to be proud of, by the way, Tommy. That's interesting. I mean, I guess, well, you have your face.
I think you're missing the sarcasm there, Smokey. I think you're missing it hardcore.
The problem is he's being sarcastic, but he thinks he's being clever, and he's just admitting that he's mentally worthless. I'm trying to figure out where he thinks he's being.
Okay, if you know he's being sarcastic, then why? Okay.
I don't think I'm.
Well, no, I'm trying to figure out why he's happy advertising.
Look at him go. Look at him go. Just look at him go. There's nothing there. There's nothing there to talk about at all.
I mean, and here's the thing. Sorry for this, Tog, if you're listening, but like when Tog gets it, you don't.
I would actually agree. You'd actually agree with that statement, John. He's like, "Geez, man, I got that, and you didn't. Come on."
Himself as a wheat-baked moron. I'm trying to figure that out.
Because it doesn't really matter, does it?
It does. Well, it should, shouldn't it, Todd?
I personally
still the same person.
Apparently, it sure matters to you.
If you make a whole bunch of garbage life decisions, if you're a subhuman sack of crap that makes horrible moral life decisions, like Thomas over here, where he worships weed in his genitals, you're not going to be a positive influence in society.
How is he able to do? He doesn't know anything. He's never met Doubting Thomas, except for on here. Where is this perfect discernment coming in? How does he determine when how does his impeccable or his discernment and the way he learns to discern certain individuals come in play when you can't see the person, you can't read anything off their body, you're just listening to their voice, which, you can gauge certain things by their voice, but you can tell by Thomas in this, he is fucking with him. And he's getting irritable about something, and now he's sitting there saying, "Oh, just the trash, the absolute horrible life decisions that this guy has made." You don't know the man.
I was amazed at how many things he discerned about my life without ever knowing a fucking thing about me.
Yeah,
I mean, like my entire life, how I treated my kids, how my alcoholism and drug addiction worked, everything. He knew all about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Smokey is under the delusion that he thinks of himself as quite the adept profiler.
Perfect discernment.
Well, I think maybe he doesn't know the definition. He probably thinks discernment is like you do a job, you get paid for it, but then you do negative work and they take some of the money back.
Culture.
When does he worship his genitals? When did that happen?
When he comes into your stream that first time, and he was talking with what was it? I forget his name.
That first time I came into your stream,
right.
Dog.
But it was all about.
I don't remember that.
What's to be done with the vagina? It was like the first time I was in a stream with you, Tog. It was ages ago. But that was my point: is that the worship of the self, the worship of the emotions, the worship of the personal feelings, as opposed to prioritization to truth and to God. Which he will never
submit. What does the vagina have to do with my genitals?
Didn't want to.
Well, it's about the worship of it. It's about the worship of it.
Were you saying something, John? I'm sorry.
No, I was saying Smokey didn't want to talk about what you do with vaginas.
This goes. Yeah, there's not much left of this, but it's the cynical part. I think was the best part.
I think the whole thing's fucking been great, man. I want this whole thing as my fucking ringtone. When my phone rings, I want this 20-minute block to play before I answer the phone.
Right. There, what do you think? Oh, yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Cynical? How do you spell that? Oh, come on.
Thomas, and what you do with your rancid, filthy, disgusting genitals. And that's really all you ultimately care about in your life. What you do with your weed and what you do with your genitals. That's all you really care about.
God gave me my genitals to enjoy, damn it. Don't you disrespect my genitals like that.
Could be a
God made them the way they were. Like that could be a trend. Yeah, God could have made me try and go down that argument. That's the one I get. That's the conundrum for me, because I had to put that stuff like that homosexuality shit on the back burner.
I mean,
like
Tommy,
the book,
you even
I don't know.
Like you even kind of like sound gross. Like you even sound like a gross person. Like you sound like someone who really does. Like,
now this just sounds so Valley Girl. It sounds like something right out of the movie Mean Girls. Like you just sound gross. You know what I'm saying? You're just gross sounding.
You're so
And I'm just like,
gross. Doubting Thomas, you're gross. Ew. Gag me with a spoon.
yeah, it's just it's bizarre. You just sound gross.
Gag me with one of your skinny arms, Smokey.
It's like, I bet you wear denim, like last year's denim. Oh my god, it's those horrible life decisions you're making. You know what I'm saying? Stop worshiping your feelings and your genitals and learn to buy this year's fashion.
I mean, you could literally fucking grab Smokey and without changing anything about him, hang him from his collar on a pole in a fucking cornfield, and you wouldn't see a crow for fucking 10 years.
It's harsh. Jesus, I might be unnecessarily so. I'm sure once he started to rot on that pole, the crows would fucking take kindly to him. First one to the eyeballs wins.
probably weigh about 100 pounds overweight, and is constantly doing nothing but eating Cheetos. Like you kind of sound like that. Like you sound like someone who struggles with speech.
I like potato chips.
By the way, I'm curious. Do you also smoke cigarettes?
That part. It's just out of nowhere. He's just talking about, I like potato chips.
Oh, man.
And at that point, it just reminds me of Dax Shepard from Idiocracy. I like money. I like sex and money.
Well, this is, I want to do a series now where I just put Doubting Thomas in a room with some fucking crazy and just let him go for like a half hour.
And then the worst thing is we set up a Patreon, so it's Doubting Thomas's special blend fund, so that you can go to the dispensary and get stuff just so that he can get nice and relaxed, and then you throw him in a room with like one of the worst people on the planet.
Yeah, hey, throw him in a room with Matt Powell.
Darth Dawkins.
Darth Talk.
I think they've talked before. I don't think it went very far.
No, I can't imagine.
Cigarettes, I'm just wondering.
No, I don't.
Oh, interesting. Okay, interesting. Yeah, usually they do. Usually it's a combined package.
Very.
I was gonna ask you, Smokey, about the sound of your voice. Like, do you constantly yell, or do you naturally just have that?
I'm not used to talking this much. I'm not used to talking. When I first started,
because you always sound hoarse. That's what I'm saying.
These days,
what's that?
He has no friends, so he's not used to talking.
He's not used to talking that much. Are you fucking kidding me, dude?
Yeah, he's fucking smoking all the time.
I mean, fucking.
It's his fucking name, Smokey. It's like.
I don't abuse a substance when I go out for my Pall Mall.
Maybe it's from sniffing burned biscuits. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue.
Yeah. These days, because I talk so freaking much, and I'm still getting used to it.
God,
yesterday,
you do know why God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, right?
Last night,
this is funny.
I don't know, Tommy. Why don't you tell me?
So you can listen twice as much as you talk.
Good one.
That's the laugh he used when he was fucking saying, "Trigger, trigger, trigger." Oh.
What's funny is that's an old school. I remember that saying from when I was a kid. You know what? God gave you 1 mouth and 2 ears, don't you? No, so you can listen twice as much as you talk.
That's also a Judge Judaism.
Oh, is it a Judge Judaism?
Yeah, she says
Judaism. The Punisher.
So, Smokey just started a stream, The Raging Atheist, the Super Simps Tough Lesson or something.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's at it again.
Thanks.
I think it's good advice.
I really think that Thomas.
That's not actually why we have 2 ears. By the way, that's not actually why we have 2 ears, but okay.
Oh, it's not. Go on.
It's for that surround
there
sound.
might actually be some science involved in that, by the way, but okay.
Oh no, you're not. You're not one of those science believers, are you?
Oh no.
Okay. Well, we deny science around these
man.
parts, Smokey.
What happened?
So I'm gonna have to ask you to leave kindly.
Oh, I
No, it's
bet.
fine.
Yeah. Don't bring science in here, man.
What do I
I
look
don't
like?
want to be
Do I look
blinded with
like
your
an
science.
atheist? I'm not a science denier. I'm not an atheist.
I was gonna say, I personally think that Thomas is just feigning ignorance.
Honestly, I think like the main thing, like I've had to speak about atheism when it comes to academics, they fall for the same thing like Christians do in the sense of indoctrination with the academics. Like it's still the same cliche, and science has nothing to do with the state of academics and the way the academics portrays them. Science has never been about that. You know, when caveman was lighting fire, were they a team of caveman scientists standing there or whatever? No, so to speak.
Yeah. What did you say, Wiley? I'm afraid I missed. I'm afraid I missed the gem.
Was it cavemen?
I said I think you're feigning ignorance.
There was cavemen. When was the
Feigning
cavemen?
ignorance.
The cavemen. Always been cavemen.
You never know.
According to who?
According to, let's see, where freaking, who went in a cave?
Stoned Ape theory.
I don't remember
Straight
who
up
went in a
science,
cave in the Bible, but there's someone who went in the cave, and I was gonna make a joke off of that, but I forgot who actually
Lot
went in the cave. Someone like that. Yeah, there was a cave or
Jonah.
something someone went into. I don't remember. It's a joke.
Planet of the
I
King.
can't help with your young Earth
Jay.
belief, Gavin. I'm sorry. We're just gonna have to disagree on that.
Yo, Jay.
We don't have a young Earth.
Yeah.
So I was AFK for a second there. Did Smokey just say to Doubting Thomas a minute ago, well, no, I'm not a science denier. I'm not an atheist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But he also believes that axioms can just be believed willy-nilly.
Right.
You accept things as your own personal. Remember, what's his name? Sunflower. He tried to pull that on me when I was having that conversation with him. I think it was before I went on Knox channel. I was talking to him about, it was something that Gavin had brought up in the debate. It was about, with the majority of scientists, scientists being Christian. And I'm like, okay, so why are you a science? Why don't you, what's wrong with the theory of evolution if the majority of scientists are Christian and blah, blah, blah. Do you remember that conversation?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Just to keep things moving along, I'll say yes.
Oh.
I do apologize. I had my nose in my phone there.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not really that. It's not really that important. But I thought it was. What was it that? What was it? Sunflower said to me. It was along those lines that basically you can accept something. You accept something. You can just accept something axiomatically to yourself. And I thought that was. And I know it's something that him and Smokey said the same thing, but I don't think they understand what an axiom is, or something that's accepted axiomatically. It's not just your own axiom; it's everybody's.
Well,
right?
Somebody else was doing the same thing. Oh, Sky Out. He always tries to claim that God is axiomatic.
Yeah, you refer the act. Yeah, you can infer. Yeah, it's an axiomatic from the inference or something goofy like that. That's the one that he's touting now. That basically it's an accurate. Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah, something similar to that. But remember, Smokey thinks that Sky Out is pretty sharp.
Yeah.
Belief or an old Earth belief.
You just haven't. Okay, that's fair. I'm sorry. I assumed.
I'm aware of both
I think
arguments,
what
but
Todd
I
made
don't
is a
lean
good
in.
reference.
It gets assumed a lot if we hang out with the young earthers. Like even me, like even though I've said it time and time again, I'm old Earth. Like Ronnie will still say, "Oh, you hang out with them and you don't fight them, so you must agree." Like I will always get that for the rest of my life.
He's full of shit about
I say, yeah, he kind of brought that up, and
See, and that's weird because he's okay. So Smokey right now is saying he believes in, he holds to an old Earth,
right?
Right. So do most atheists.
But if you question him on old Earth, he doesn't really land anywhere. It's really interesting. it breaks down, and he almost comes out like a creationist. So I don't know.
Oh,
okay. I mean, at least he's consistent because he doesn't call out young Earthers, and apparently he doesn't call out people, calling for the genocide of gay people either.
Yeah.
Well, those are things that they can accept axiomatically unto themselves. We can all have our own facts.
But he has a totally irrational idea of how evolution blends with old Earth creationism. Like most old Earth creationists will buy evolution, basically the whole thing.
Yeah.
But when you question Smokey on it, he'll sometimes go like, I think one time he said 13,000 years. Then he said, well, I'll give you billions of years, but he still believes in Adam and Eve. And it's like, he just waffles all over the fucking place. He has a totally incoherent idea.
Oh yeah. I haven't heard his, that's kind of interesting. I haven't heard his take on that.
He doesn't seem to believe in any kind of evolution at all, other than, what the creationists will buy.
And you know why he can incorporate Adam and Eve into that is because, and I'm not claiming I'm learned in evolution by any stretch of the imagination, but these fucksticks that think they know evolution, they always refer to, well, when was the first human? Like there had to be a first human, so Adam and Eve makes sense because there had to be a first,
Yeah, so like God created a whole bunch of animals, and I don't know, like I don't know what the hell they think, but he doesn't really buy abiogenesis. So he believes that creation happened sometime 4.5 billion years ago. So then if he believes in a 13 billion year old universe, so God was sitting on his ass smoking a doobie for 8 billion years, and he decided to make the earth. I don't know what the fuck you think.
Well, God is like the Swedish chef from the Muppets. He's like, to her. I take a little sprinkle of the dirt, I put the dirt, and I make the man. And now I make something for the man's penis. I'm going to take it a rib and make.
Yeah, no, we're going to stick a man there,
Well, but there's always seemed to be kind of a certain level of hubris when it comes to the whole idea of like why certain Christians are so, they speak so ardently against abiogenesis. I'm like, what if that's the way that God did it?
Yep.
And that's not according to the Bible, okay? Because the Bible says that God created all the animals, and then He created man from the dust of the earth and breathed His life force into him, or whatever. However, they want to accept that story. But again, this goes back to what
God works in mysterious ways unless it makes too much sense.
Right.
Yeah. So how do you? And it seems to be that they get offended by that whole idea that, well, we're made in the image of God. How could we come from pond scum? Well, you have to ask yourself, where did the pond come for the pond scum?
Yeah.
And how did that come? And why do you think a God couldn't do that? Yeah. And when you go into it, it goes right back to the Bible. Well, God, don't be ridiculous. It says right in Genesis how we were created. But is that science? Is that what science is pointing to? So who's the science denier now?
And by the way, if you want your cattle to be striped, I'm sorry.
I think he understood, but I explained to him that it's like, well, yeah, you guys can say whatever. I'm not in control of your guys' mouth, for one thing. Whatever you guys say, if I don't speak up right away that I disagree with it, I don't have to speak. I can hold my peace, and I can be upset on the inside and just let you look like a damn fool, because that's your prerogative to look like a damn fool.
Sorry, Jay. Gotta have you stop right here.
Until I have enough.
Stop right here. I'm sorry. Maybe on minor things that might be true, but if you, and maybe you've heard me say this and you're sick of hearing me say it, but if you are on a live stream, if you are broadcasting live with a group of people, and one of those people makes a claim or says something that is antithetical to your ideals, to your belief system, if you do not speak up in that moment, you are tacitly approving of what they're saying. And anybody that watches it in the future, it can infer that. Okay, like like that fucking nut job, Mr. Batman, the other night talking. Yeah, I mean, it knocked one in there and right off the bat called him a fucking homophobic piece of shit. And maybe not the best way to do it, but that's what I would have called him if I'd been there.
Oh, he's a hell of a lot worse than that. He was advocating for murder.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he was he was using the Bible to advocate for. Well, hey, wouldn't be wrong to murder gay people because they're worthy of the death penalty anyway because of this, that, and this other verse.
Was this the open mic? Was this the open mic on Smokey's channel with Batman, with Mr. Batman?
Yeah.
Is that what you're referring? Okay, I remember seeing the notification, but I haven't watched it.
If you don't attempt to rebut or tell them why what they're saying is wrong in the moment, you might not intend it, but in the future, when people watch that interaction and see your silence, they are going to infer certain things from your silence.
Yeah, and if Batman and Smokey were in charge, do you think atheists would be in prison or nailed up to a burning stake with kindling around their feet?
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I just don't know why they haven't gotten there yet. Yeah. Why they don't see that, like, especially the way that Smokey kind of, with his discernment, can basically, okay, I've discerned from you, you're deserving of all these negative, and being dehumanized by me, and not see how that gets you to that logically to that point to where you could treat these people as though, we can just take out the trash, we can burn them, we can make examples of them. How you didn't get there, I don't know how he does it. I don't know what breaks him of that, what stops him. And if what stops him is, well, God tells me not to hurt people, then by all means, I hope he sticks with the belief in the Christian God.
Right.
That God is telling him to not do that. Great.
Yeah.
Fine. Oh, shit. Way too far back. Do you guys want me to stop this or do you want me to continue?
Yeah, I'm just about burned out. I've got a stream I got to do at 5, so I don't want to answer it. So,
hey, hey guys, how many atheists does it take to shingle a roof?
I don't know.
It depends on how thin you slice them.
Wow.
Do you know Manny Karen?
I've met him.
Okay. He was telling me Jew jokes yesterday. It was fucking hilarious. After the stream ended, I don't think I think I could get my stream taken down if he told them while I was on.
Yeah, especially even if they knew that he was a Jew or is a Jew.
Yeah, so, why don't we end this broadcast? I'll tell you one of them.
Yeah, it's your channel.
Dude, so you're basically saying to your audience, hey, we're going to get off the air now so we can go backstage and be racists.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Oh, no.
I knew this guy once. His dick was so short that it looked like a German soldier buried up to his helmet in sand.
Now everybody can infer axiomatically that after Speed of Sound of Gravity's live streams are over, it's anti-Semitic time.
Yeah, but anti-Semitic with Manny Karen, who's from Israel, and he's a Jew. So.
It's anti-Semitic time. I should probably call Knock.
Yeah, I should get my uncle. Oh, shit.
So
anyway.
that's why we have one guy in my platoon, and he was I think he said he was half Jewish. Like, all right, we'll leave the Jew jokes on you.
Wait. Did you just say there was some guy in your pantaloons? What was that?
Pantaloons. That was
platoon, not pantaloons.
I misheard that. I'm sorry.
But I was in chat on one of Smokey's streams right after we had our falling out, right after he started calling me trash clown. And he said something from genetics, and I mispronounced it. I came up with something. Yeah, I came up with something about condoms. And he was trying, and he stopped the stream, and he started telling me the right way to spell it, and correcting me. And he didn't get that I was fucking with him at all. It just totally went over his head. And then he got pissed off and said, "Well, just Google it." And it's like, and I kept going on and on about, I got to find that chat. It's just, it was amazing how it was so obvious that I was fucking with him, and he did not get it at all. He just went on and on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes some people don't catch on too quickly. They think
not at all. I mean, it's just like, and I pressed it. I just went further and further, and oh my god. Okay, so I'm going to end this, and we'll hang out for a minute backstage.
Hashtag John Maddox is a grifter.
Yes. Okay, ending broadcast, guys. See you later. Maybe.